Mm-mm. Back to our regular
Happy New
program.
Year.
Happy New Year. Yes.
Boom.
Happy New Year's.
So, Merry Christmas, joyous Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, everyone.
Happy
We are
FaceTime.
back in.
Whatever people believe in,
Yeah,
Just make that up.
happy everything. Happy everything. We are back in the new year, in the year of our Lord 2022. More J&J coming at you.
For sure, for
So,
sure.
being that it is the new year, I think the first thing that we should talk about is something that everyone loves and hates at the same time, New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
So, Jay, do you actually have like a concrete resolution that you're trying
Oh
to like
no,
stick to?
not for years. Like so, like just to like put this in there. So I went to Catholic school all my life, basically, right? And you know how
Yeah.
like what was that? It's like you said yeah and burped at the same time.
Well, I just meant to say yeah.
Oh, okay. But yeah, like I had you also have Lent, which is like you have to give something up. And then
Mhm.
slowly but surely I like was like, it's hard to give something up. So then I kind of like made it my New Year thing. So now it's just
Mm.
honestly, I just be like, I'm just gonna get better and better, improving myself and what I want and getting what I want and striving for that goal. That's my New Year's resolution. It's just gonna be the same consistent thing. Basically, kind of like not to sound hipster-esque, but just strive for
Mhm.
perfection. Like just be human.
I think that that's a better way to look at it rather than like, you tie a a thing that you want to accomplish or a thing that you want to do to a time frame in the year, right? Because if you're always evolving, if you're always trying to do better, then you're kind of always working towards a resolution,
Because then people are
so
just
to
like,
speak. And
"Oh, I want to go to the gym this year," and then they just either quit after a month or they actually do it. But I'm like, you know what? If you're gonna work on yourself, that means work on everything. Because to me, I think that's just balance. It's kind of like
yeah,
I hate to use the gym again, but it's like go to the gym, you only work out your upper body, but not your legs. Now you just look like an upside down triangle. But when it comes to working on yourself, just work on everything, mental and
yeah.
physical. So
No, I
that's
like that.
that's my thing.
So for
Mm,
me, I
yeah.
guess I'm kind of like the same way. Not that I ever really work on myself, which is not great, but um, within the past couple of weeks, I guess it's been a conversation, not just like
Mental
for New Year's,
conversation?
but no, it's been a conversation, like a physical conversation with my
Oh, okay.
wife. Like
Oh,
we're
okay.
just like, oh, you know what? We need to change up our lifestyle,
Got it.
right? We need to work out more, eat better, just all around physically, mentally, like do better.
Mhm,
We've had not necessarily a rough year, but we've had a kind of stressful year, right? You know, she switched jobs, we moved. The moving thing was a big deal, especially for me because as I'm coming to notice, I'm a pretty like maybe not schedule, but like a routine type of
see what
person.
you're
Like
saying.
I,
Is it
I
because of work too? Because it sounds like that's part of your ecosystem now. Like you
yeah.
have because you're working from home, so there's that
Mhm.
routine in your I guess ecosystem that you have. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like very routine based that I'm like that's what I'm coming to notice about myself.
Hmm.
And before the move, right, we moved in May. Before the move, I had kind of like set up a new routine for
Hmm.
myself. I was still working from home, but I had this thing where like, I woke up at a certain time, then, I ate, I went to the gym during my lunch hour, and came back and then I ate lunch and there was like just things that kind of flowed a certain way.
Hmm.
Um and ever since the move, I've completely, this semi big thing in my life, it completely destroyed whatever system I had. So
Hmm.
ever since then, I've been trying to like readjust and redo the system that I had, but it just didn't work. And now I'm at a point where, like I said, we've been talking about this for a couple weeks, so it's not just for New Year's, but
Yeah.
now we're finally in a thing of like we're eating better. I got, I'm finally starting to get like energy back.
Hmm.
Like you feel the difference like when you eat like crap or when you eat decent, like the energy literally comes back to you. So I'm starting to get the energy back to do a little more, be a little more active.
And you had
So
a break too, right? From work, you had
yeah,
like a
yeah, I
winter,
had a
so
break.
that's good too.
Hmm. Yeah. So, and I'm sure that helped because it was just us in the house, kind of taking a
Relax.
full break of everything. And I mean, granted, that I guess goes hand in hand with the holidays and New Year's. So maybe New Year's was the cause of it because we finally had that break. But but yeah, that's kind of like my mentality that I'm trying to roll with. Physically, mentally, hobbies in the house. Like I want things to be clean, organized. I want things to kind of function at a good level and
Mhm.
continue to do so. Right.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get that. Like, most people, even our listeners, there, a lot of people had issues with obviously COVID and other stuff, jobs, finance. Um, just like a couple days ago, like a friend I haven't heard from in a long time asked me for like $30 because he's in the hospital, so he can get like
Mhm.
food, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's like diabetic and stuff like that. But it's like, you know, I haven't heard from him in so long, but like I know him. Like I still have this I would say, I guess, connection. So I feel like I
Hmm.
still have the need to help because I was just like, I don't want to just be like, nah, I don't have the money. It was like $30. I'm like, I can
Yeah.
afford $30. But even myself, like same thing. Like I've had my ups and downs last couple weeks, or maybe around Thanksgiving time. Like my mom was
Okay.
sick. Like that threw off my I guess routine. At the same time, I got promoted, so that time is bittersweet. So it's like,
Mm,
I got promoted. Then it screwed up my time because I used to go to the gym in the morning. Now I've just been like, I don't want to say depressed, but just blue. And then going into the
okay.
winter blues. So it's like, it just got me like
Yeah.
declining. I see myself coming back out of it, which is a good thing. Um, but that goes in what with my New Year's resolution. It's just like, just get back on that horse and keep on going.
Yeah. So it's just like a constant. So I guess we don't really have resolutions.
Yeah,
We just
if that.
have like we just want to constantly, better ourselves and what we do and our surroundings, all that stuff. We just want it to constantly. We ourselves want to work on it so that it gets better. And we're not just saying, "Oh, we're gonna do this," or it's gonna get better because it's a new year. Like, no, we're
Like, I'll
gonna,
eat more salads. Nah, I'll stick with my
dude.
beef and chicken.
So I've been eating salads again. Like
Mhm,
God knows I need a salad. So
mhm.
we've been having salads. Today my new version of pigging out, like eating a bunch of crap, is I had 3 rice cakes. Have you ever
Mhm.
had rice cakes? Plain rice cakes?
Once, probably once. Like
Yeah,
I could say like one hand probably once, and it's not more than two.
it is
You're looking for some
it
random.
is as if it is as if insulation in your walls.
No way.
So it is like
I don't know.
it's like you punch through the wall and you take a handful of the forbidden cotton candy, right? Because it's pink, but it has
Yeah,
glass in it. So like, you're not supposed to touch it. Um, and freeze dried it. It is possibly the driest. It's cardboard and
but you
styrofoam.
need
It's if
water.
cardboard it's yeah, you do. It is
It's
like cardboard and styrofoam had a baby.
That's
It
crazy.
is terrible. It's nothing.
So,
It's
what do you
nothing.
mean by picking out? Like, are you eating a lot of
I
that?
had 3 of them. That was my, like,
That is a
guilty
lot
snack today.
for
It's
dry, basic. Like that's
on the 3rd one, I was like, "Oh, I can put peanut butter on this," and I put peanut butter.
Yeah,
But
I've seen that. I've seen that before from someone.
it's not bad
That's like a
because
thing.
I'm a texture eater,
Yeah,
so the peanut butter with the crunch actually made it good. Um,
it's like Ritz peanut butter,
yeah,
but
but
but the
just
Ritz has
having
flavor.
crunchy air, it sounds as bad as it sounds. Like, it's not fun. It's like if you ever wanna eat
Like
packing
church
peanuts
bread is
and
better.
oh,
Like
what? Yes, absolutely.
I love.
100%.
I
It
looked
is
forward to
yes.
that when I was in church. I
Bro,
couldn't imagine.
the
Oh man,
Eucharist, forget about it. I would eat a bag of that. That would be chips if I could.
it does
Dude,
come in a bag of chips.
it does. Fun facts, I was an altar boy, guys, and it
Oh
literally
yeah,
comes in a bag and it looks like chips. And then they take it out of it and they bless it and then it becomes Eucharist. But it's a bag of chips. So anyway, Yeah, it is. It's just crunch. And I like crunchy things, but I like crunchy things with flavor and texture. It is like it's air. It's crunchy, stale air, and it's upsetting. It's very upsetting. I had 3 of those today. I had 3 servings of crunchy, stale air, and that was a snack because I was like, "Oh, I need to eat something." That was me pigging out 3 of
What
those
I'm
circle
actually
discs.
curious because you have the bag. I don't know if you stared at it. It's what does it provide the human body? Like what nutrients?
Nothing.
What
Nothing.
sustenance?
Nothing.
So it
It's
just
I
fills
mean,
up your stomach.
technically, it's like air popped rice, right? So
Mhm.
technically, you're getting some carbs out of it, very small amount. I mean, I had 3 of them, and I think 3 ended up being like 130 calories. So
Wow, that's nothing.
it's not a lot. Like you don't get a lot. It's in my imagination, it has to be meant for like if you need something, you just get that real quick.
It
So
kinda
it
yeah, it seems like when I've heard, like, when people say, "Hey, like, I don't know, like, I always feel hungry," and then, like, "Drink water." Like, I feel
yeah.
like what rice is, like, kinda just filling up your stomach so you don't feel hungry,
That's
kind of
probably exactly what it is.
I
So,
guess that's the
I eat other things as well. Like, I'm not just eating salad and rice cakes. Like, I'm having proteins, I'm having good fats, I'm drinking a lot more water. Back
Well, yeah,
to
you're
a
down there, you
gallon a
gotta
day.
yes. I need to get
I
on
mean, I
that.
used to drink a gallon a day without a problem, and then, like I said, I fell off for a really long time, but now I'm back to a gallon a day. I'm eating, the correct stuff. It's not like I'm eating, like I said, plain bread or rice cakes and plain salad all day.
Yeah.
Like I'm having actual food. But when you're hungry and you're looking around for something bad to eat, and I saw the bad stuff and I was like, you know what? Let me at least make the bad stuff a little better. So, I mean, not that peanut butter is bad or anything, but I was like, let me just make a better decision today. So instead of having like a handful of crackers or like ramen noodles or something, I was like, let me have 3 of these disgusting things. And I put peanut butter on it and it was all right.
That's
It's all
good.
about
That
changing
shows
changing
growth.
habits.
That shows growth. I like that.
Yeah, I
Like
hated it, but
no, because like, Gabby, one thing she was like, she wants to get eat better, but some of the
yeah,
things that stop her from doing that, it's me being part of it. Like, where, like,
because
if
you eat
she
like
makes
crap.
some, yeah, because like if she would eat, like if she would make she wants to make something like a no protein based dinner,
Yeah,
or like, or let's say she eats and I come home from work late, I find myself eating something out because I'm like, oh, it's something
yeah.
quick, and I'm not gonna cook at night, I'm tired. And it's like, she feels that she's not doing her job. That's like, I don't want to say like wifely duties, but I'm gonna just use that term in quotations as for my non-viewer video
As
viewers.
a partner, as a
Yeah,
partner.
as a partner, like she feels like she's not like doing her best to take care of me. Where when we talked about that, and I was like, okay, like when she's like, oh, I want to have this, and there's just no meat, and I'm like Luffy, I gotta have my meats. So I'm like, you know what? I'll eat that. Like, she made like a pesto with like some sort of like cheese thing. I forgot what it was. It was good. Like, I don't deny like
Yeah.
healthy food being not good, but I was just like, then I have this craving. Like one time I was like, yeah, we should do that next time and probably add some bacon bits. And I was joking, but like half, like 60-40, maybe 75-25, because
I'm the
I need
I'm the
it.
same way. I need to have meat. Like with everything, like I'm even down. I'm down for the cause. You know what I'm saying? I'm down with vegan meat. I like vegan meat. I have no problem having Impossible burgers or having like the Morningstar patties. Like I actually prefer like the Morningstar chicken patties. That's
Mm,
typically like I get those like in a frozen pack, right? And I'll have them for lunch once in a while. I have no issue eating a veggie burger, eating soy patties, nothing. But I need to have a protein in there because if I
mm,
don't have a protein, I guess my body chemistry or something, I'm one of like if I don't have protein in my meals, I'm awful. I feel like crap. I get really irritable and I just don't have enough energy.
yeah. No,
Like
that's
I
understandable.
just had for dinner, I just had like half a bag of salad, which is great, but I had chicken with that. Like I can't just
Oh
not
yeah,
have some sort of protein. And like for my lunches and stuff, like I'll have like I don't know, we have like a rice bowl, right? That's like one of our healthy lunches. It's a rice bowl, but it's white rice and ground turkey. Like I need ground turkey, and then I put a fried egg on top. Like I need protein in it to literally give me power to go through my day.
You sound like Goku for a
But
second. I need meat. About to go
yeah,
Super
so
Saiyan.
I mean, if I could just eat meat all the time, I'd be happy. But I
That
can't do that,
true. Yeah.
you know.
We we we,
And
we
I
would
think
fight.
I give my wife a lot of credit because when I do when I'm like when it was just me before when I was living by myself,
Yeah.
eating healthy wasn't a super big deal for me.
Yeah.
When I was at work at some points in my life, it was harder. But like at home, especially when I had moved out, I cooked all my food, so I didn't really eat out a ton. On the weekends, it was eating out. Like I'd grab sandwiches, burgers, whatever. But during the week, it was mostly like I made my own food, so it really wasn't an issue. And
Yeah.
then living with Mike, my old roommate, like he taught me how to cook like meals. So that's really what I did. And then when I was working in the city, I was, walking what 2 miles a day easily
Yeah.
without even blinking. So I could eat like, a semi crappy meal out, but still be
Yeah.
good as
That's
long as
like
I drank water all day and had two other like healthy meals. Like,
yeah. That's like
but
200 calories right
now
there. So you're good.
But now we're in a house, right? We keep the house stocked with food. So there's always options. And I'm also working from home. So, like, I'm sitting down way more than ever. I'm not moving around enough. And we have my kitchen is what, 50 steps away, and it's
Yeah.
always filled with food. So I'm just eating an abundance of crap all the time. So I credit my wife a lot because she was the one who really sat down, did some research, and was like, "Hey, we can eat healthy, and we can make it without starving ourselves, without sacrificing like flavor, taste, whatever." So she was the one who really like kind of broke it down and made like a meal plan for us so that we can do, we cook it ahead of time, heat it up right then and there, and then we eat it. Um, so I definitely credit that because ever since moving out and being with someone else, like it's not like I can just wing it every single day and pick up something on the way home. Like it's really like we're in a home that has a bunch of stuff that we have to go access every day for food.
Yeah.
So it's about like filling that with the proper stuff and then putting it all together, right?
Yeah.
So
That's true. That's fact. I just realized that too because it's not like you're coming home from somewhere and you can't be like, hey, honey, can you pick up some beans because we need that. Like you gotta stock up your place.
exactly. Like you can't always like once in a while it's fine, but you can't always do that.
Yeah.
Like for me, when I would come home, like I used to work crazy hours in the city. So when I'd come home at 9 o'clock, I'd stop at the corner store, do a little grocery shopping thing, and like get some things for that one meal, cook it and eat it.
Yeah. And that's it.
Like I can't do that like all the time anymore. It's just not
Yeah.
it's not a good way to be. So but yeah,
No.
so that's been the resolution on my end. So it's been just trying to do better, you know.
And low key sounds like you said like I got my place stocked up and like for a zombie apocalypse. Like you're just waiting. Just
Bro,
you
no
just have like
joke.
shutters, lock the doors, lock the windows.
No joke. We went to Sam's Club, right? It's like one of
Mhm.
those wholesale places like Costco.
Yeah.
And I told her I was like, "Yo, we need to have just in case like it makes the most sense." Like we bought like an economy size thing of like ramen noodles, a big family pack of like Vienna sausages. Oh, bless you.
Thank you.
Big thing of Vienna
Oh, that sounds good.
sausages, and then we have other like beans and stuff like non-perishables,
Yeah.
because it's good to just have them. And then I mean, it's the winter, so it's a little different. But Florida has hurricane season,
Oh yeah.
so we have
That's
a full thing. We have a full bin somewhere in our like random storage closet filled with extra like provisions. Like we have a
yeah.
case of water, non-perishable stuff, board games, candles, matches, like all that stuff.
That's definitely important. I always forget, like, yeah, like it's hurricanes. Well, not now, but hurricane season's a thing. And
Mhm.
there may be days you can't leave the house.
Yeah. Or, people go crazy over here and they'll just be a day or two where, like, let's say the forecast shows a hurricane, right? Or not
Uh-huh.
even a big, like, they show a storm.
Yeah.
People will go ballistic and they'll go and clear out
Oh
in the
yeah.
supermarket. And then you're kind of like, you're stuck, up the creek, and you're like, what am I going to do now? So, but speaking of my neighbors, talking about like stocking up for the end of the world, my neighbors are
Yeah.
like growing their own food,
That's smart.
like super
And you got
smart.
the
And
space.
it's
You got the space for it.
they have a good so like our house, right? So that
Yeah.
courtyard,
Hmm.
they've kind of transformed their courtyard into a green
Garden.
space.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a garden. So, they have seating out there, but now the husband built a bunch of planters and they're growing seasonings, vegetables, fruits, and like, it's just started, but they're growing stuff. And they're talking about like, got to keep it on the hush hush, but they're talking
Yeah.
about getting chickens because they want to
Yeah. I
get
was just
like,
gonna say, like, yo, are they growing like cows and shit? Like, that's
so
funny.
they don't have
But
enough space for a cow or a goat. I've
yeah,
already
that was a
asked.
joke. But I could see chickens. I could see chickens.
But they're talking about getting a chicken or two for like farm fresh eggs. And I mean, why not? Uh but it's just funny because it's a thing that people do. And
Saves a
I've
lot of money.
it saves a lot, and I've told Erica like I would love, we don't have the space for it, but I would love chickens. Why not? Have a bunch of fresh eggs all the time?
Just but oh wait, do they what's the word? Roost? What's the when they cock a doodle doo? What's the name of that?
Those are roosters.
Is it roost? But chickens don't do that. Roosters do. Okay, because I'm like, you don't want to deal with that every morning. That's the only thing.
Nope.
But then
No,
you
you
would
just
if
don't get a rooster.
yeah. But then for a hen, you're gonna have to get like you have to like when it gets older, you're gonna have to get a new one. Either you can breed them.
Nah, bro,
That's
you have a
cool.
good chicken dinner. What are you talking about?
Oh no, but for more eggs. Yes, you're not wrong on
Yeah.
that. I mean, for more eggs,
But dude, I found out from the neighbors,
yeah.
a chick is like it's like $8 or $10, something like that, something wild.
That's crazy because that's as
It's
much as an egg
so
carton.
affordable.
So it's like you can get a lot from yeah, that's dope. That's
Spend
crazy.
like $50, you have a whole coop. I mean, you have to buy a coop, you have to have feed so that you can feed them and all
It's an
that. But
investment at this point. It's an investment
yeah,
at
it's
this
an
point. But
investment,
it
but
saves you money in the long term. Yeah.
and it's not out of reach. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
true.
like you got to spend, I don't know, like a couple $100 on a cow. Like I'm saying, you got to
Yeah.
spend $50 and you can have a chicken coop.
I'm with
Like you
that.
can fill your chicken coop,
If you have that,
and then
I'll
you
be
can just,
down there. Well, I can't bring it through. I can't. I would have to drive to get those eggs
yes,
from you. I
yes, you would.
was like, yeah, I'll fly down there and just bring it
I
back in
mean,
the
I can
airport.
send them. I could just send them to you. Also, there's that.
Yeah, but then like wouldn't it go through like X-rays and then you have to put fragile throughout the body? Yeah, it's
Well, yeah,
almost gonna.
you'd have to pack it, right? But as
I
long
feel
as
like it
like
wouldn't be your
if they
fault. You would send it
laid
in
them,
nicely.
I could just send it. Like it doesn't have to be refrigerated or anything. I would just have to send it in a box over to you.
Yeah, you probably have to overnight it. But then I feel like some
Yes,
UPS guy would just be like, just chuck
that
it.
would suck.
And even with
But
all the
that's you got to
kindness,
pack it right.
I guess.
I'm not gonna put
And I'm
like
just
four
thinking about
eggs in a box, tape it up, and then send it. Like,
it's like taped to the edge. They're
yeah, no.
just like cryo freeze them just so it survives the journey.
No, I'll pack them up right. And when my imaginary chickens lay their imaginary eggs, I will imaginary pack them right and send them to you.
Yes. All right, cool with that. I'm cool with that.
But moving on to the next thing, talking about the end of days and prepping for everything. So now you have to prep you have to prep your body even harder because in Israel there was the first confirmed case of somebody having the flu and the coronavirus at the same time.
That's you know what that reminds me of. It just popped in my brain. Wow, I forget. Was it Russia and Germany when they invaded Poland? It was one of the. That was the first thing I thought of. But am I wrong? Because I
uh,
Poland got
I think
messed
just
up.
Germany invaded Poland,
No,
right?
no,
I
but it
don't think
was
Russia.
two countries invaded another country at the same time.
At
I'll
the
look it
same
up.
time?
I'll
That
look
I
it
don't
up.
know.
But that's what it reminded me of. Flurona attacking.
Synergy.
How is this person? Are they like s- in a coma?
Um,
Tell me more.
so
This
off
is
of
like
what
a
I read,
phenomenon.
it was a short like news article that I had read earlier this morning,
Yeah,
and it was just a confirmed case that a man in Israel has the flu and the coronavirus. It's technically, obviously, it's not impossible because someone has it. Technically speaking, it's not impossible because it's
yeah,
two different strands of the same illness. So, like, statistically speaking, it's really hard to do, but you can get two types of a thing at once, right?
yeah, yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's what this guy has. I mean, corona is a mutated flu-like virus,
Yeah,
right?
it's in the same
So
family.
it yeah, it's in the same family, so it makes sense that it's possible, but to hear that it's a thing, now it's like, great. Now I
Yeah,
have to
like
worry
I think
about
it's
this kind
something.
of.
It sounds like common sense, but then now it's like so the thing that we've been scared of for like what like 2 3 years now, 2 years. Um, and the flu has been a normal thing. So now you got
Yeah.
both of them. It's like you got two Charizards hovering over you. So it's like, but to hear it in the news, it does sound scary. But then for our listeners, I would say don't be scared. I would be like, take care of yourself. Like if you feel like you feel really bad, and in some off chance you have both of them, because there's I don't know if there's a way to test for the flu. You can definitely test for the COVID because that's like a new thing.
Well, I mean, they
But
can tell you if you have the flu if you go to the
well, yeah,
doctor or
if
whatever.
you're going into the hospital and they tell you this, like
Yeah.
definitely, like if you don't feel like super bad, definitely quarantine. Definitely, get them hot teas, get them soups, get them over the counter drugs. Rest, drink them fluids. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
man, yeah, it's obviously the news covers this in order like and we've talked about this before. The news just in general, they need ratings, so one of the
100.
things that hasn't gone away for 2+ years is corona. So they're every time something new pops up, they're gonna talk about it. They're gonna inform because it's a buzzword right now, and people are unfortunately, you know, they're panicking, so they're gonna want to read up on everything and then just kind of regurgitate it to everyone else. It's kind of what I'm doing right now.
Yeah,
I'm not panicking about it, but this is just it's something that's in the news. So I thought it would be smart to kind of cover it. And like Jay said, it's all about taking care of yourself, doing the right thing. You know, m- masks wherever you gotta go. You know, when it's hugely populated areas where you can't stay the 6 feet apart. Quarantine if you're sick. You know, follow the guidelines. Stay clean. Don't be
yeah. Like wash
dumb.
your hands.
Yeah, like wash your hands, and stuff like that. And we forget, but the flu is something that comes every year. It's been coming every single year. I mean, technically, you can get the flu whenever, but
True.
flu season happens, and everyone gets the flu shot because they don't want to get super sick. So now, in present times, it's been Corona. We have to get the vaccine now.
Well,
Everyone's getting boosters.
That's gonna be normalized in 2 years.
Yeah, and everyone's getting boosters now, and because the flu's contagious, corona's extremely contagious. So we're at this point where we got to treat those things the same way. I don't typically get a flu shot, and this kind of
Oh, me
reminded
neither.
me, like, this reminded me when I saw this, I was like, oh, you know what? I probably, I got my vaccine, both doses, and I got the booster. And it's
Mhm.
like, okay, you know what? I can't forget about the flu shot because I could still get the flu. I mean, even when you're vaccinated and everything, you still get the flu, you still get corona, but you do your due diligence because it'll help you out in the long run, right? If you get
Yeah.
your vaccines, if you get the shots or whatever, it lessens your symptoms. It's
Oh
it's
yeah,
just common
100%.
sense, scientifically proven. It is, you know.
No, yeah. I saw an episode or rewatched an episode of It's Always Sunny, and
Mhm.
the episode where they have to not to get too off in a tangent, but they talk about like science and God and evolution. And Mac, and you remember this episode? Mac tells Dennis, "Is like, how do you know that the scientists, the smartest men in the world, are not
Have you
regurgitating?"
peered through the data
Yeah,
yourself?
yeah, exactly. And he's like, "Yeah, but you're listening to
Science
old
is
men
a
in the."
liar.
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. And then he shows like Galileo, all this, like all it was fun. It just made me think of that. But no, yeah, like like when it comes to like flu itself, like I only got it in recent memory. I probably got it when I was
Mhm.
younger, but for most of my life, I've never gotten the flu like
Same.
purposefully until freshman year of college. Like because it was a new
Mhm.
environment. Every time I go to a new environment, I always get the flu.
Yeah.
I got it. I was like, oh wow, this is not good. I remember like fainting at my desk and getting up. Like I had food. I was like, oh whoa, like I had like ketchup on my face. But then I was like, okay, I should get the flu shot. So I got it. Like after I felt better, a year later, I was like, oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
get the flu shot. And then I think I did it again after I was a doorman. This was like 2016, 2017. I got it again. But then
Mhm.
after that, I haven't done anything because I've been in New York. I haven't been displaced out of my environment. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be fine. I'm in New York. Flu is, you know, here. But I did get my COVID vaccine and booster. So I'm like, that's a new thing. I've had COVID before. Not a great feeling. Yeah, honestly, I was like nerd. The nerd in me felt like, yeah, get my super soldier serum, and I'm like, yeah. But other than that, I'm like, mine will take care of myself. The COVID
Yeah,
is not.
speaking of
Yeah.
my dad just got tested positive again, second
Uh,
time. He
is it
has
Chet?
COVID. I mean, he's okay, thank
Yeah,
God. For the first day he had symptoms, he had a fever, and then, he's just been kind of like congested the rest of the time. I
yeah,
was talking to him this morning. He's good and he's, recovering, thank God.
that's good.
But and he was on it, man. He wearing masks, he has shots now, he has his
Yeah,
booster. And he got his booster like a day or two before he started feeling symptoms, which sucks. So that means
that happened to my
was
friend too.
ex- he was exposed right before he got his booster, and then he got sick.
Yeah,
Um, and then we
imagine that.
actually, me, my dad, and Erica, we actually all got the boosters, different places, but we got it at the same time.
Mm.
Um, and that booster, man, it felt like getting the first vaccine. I don't know if it was for you. When I got my first
Honestly,
dose, I was like out of commission for like 2-3 days, like bedridden, like my body was terrible, like I did not feel good.
I
Second dose, I was fine,
yeah,
but then this booster, it was only one day where I felt terrible, but
yeah.
what was it? I got it on Thursday, and then the next day was New Year's Eve.
Oh wow.
I felt like crap that whole day. And then the following day, that Saturday, I was better.
No, yeah. I because like going off like COVID. When I had COVID,
Mhm.
I had a like headache for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Um, it was really bad. I did have like coughing symptoms. Like I had a lot of phlegm coming out, but I didn't know I had COVID until it was told to me. So I guess that was all part of it. Like I would wake up in the
Mm.
middle of the night coughing up phlegm. So that's all part of it. But when I got my first shot,
Yeah.
headache the next day, and then I was fine. Second shot, headache the next day, I was fine. The booster, not so much. Didn't feel
Oh,
anything.
well, excuse me. I guess you're just a
No, no,
freaking
because a lot of
superhero,
people.
Jay. So sorry that us mortals have actual side effects with things.
Hey, I'm constantly on. Like even now, I have horrible allergies. Um, Yeah, like I don't know, because a lot of people felt like people were like, "Yo, I got the booster and I was out of commission for 4 days." I was like, "Really?" Like, they were like, "Body." I was like,
4 days? Damn.
"Yeah, like I people's bodies react differently," and that's another thing. People are freaking out with miscommunication or
Yeah.
misinformation, rather. Um, it's like people react differently. People don't like Brussels sprouts. Not all people like Brussels sprouts. Some people do. It's a
Bro,
body.
try Brussels sprouts. Try Brussels sprouts
I have to stop you there, bro.
roasted, hold on,
You make
with
it for
some
me.
honey and bacon bits. Bro, that's so good.
I saw what y'all doing.
I
You try
don't
to
even like
lure me
Brussels
in with
sprouts.
bacon bits, but you make it. Because if I buy Brussels sprouts, and you know what's funny? My sister told me today. She sent me a video about like Brussels sprouts and how you could make it and how it'd be really great. I was like, honestly, I was like, you make it and I'll try it. Gabby, on the other hand, she won't. I'm not. I'm gonna speak for both of us. She's not gonna eat it. I'll try it. I won't make it because it will sit in my fridge rotting. Because I'm not. I'm gonna be too
Yep.
scared. I will make broccoli. I like broccoli. Brussels sprouts, not so much. So I'll
I'm
trust
such a
you.
like it's so random with the stuff that I like. So like Erica loves cucumbers.
Yeah.
I'm not a big cucumber fan. So what do we always have in the house? Cucumbers. So
That
I've
hurts.
had to learn to kind of like him,
Nah, you
but
don't have to unlearn it. Unlearn it.
that's neither here nor
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
But yeah, so
yeah.
everyone just
It's
kind of
different.
wrapping up this piece. Whenever we talk about Corona, obviously, be smart, do your research, look into things, get your
Oh,
shot, get your booster. You know,
but also look, if you
be
don't
clean, be
decide to
aware
get
of others.
vaccinated, yeah, just the least you can do is wear a mask. If you don't want to get vaccinated, I could totally get that, but at least wear a mask. That's like
Yeah,
that's not
listen,
going in your body.
it's a choice. Yeah, if you don't want it, fine, but at least be aware of the person next to you. You know, help out, like Jay said. Wash your hands, hand sanitizer, wear a mask. It's the bare minimum that we can do as human beings. So, moving on to our next segment.
Next.
Before I'm gonna have you introduce this one, Jay,
Hmm.
because this is kind of like your deal. But I think this is a travesty. This is like, okay, so you know how there's like human tragedies, right?
Yeah.
So like the top two typically are like
I was
war and
okay.
famine, right?
Okay. I thought
Those
of
are like,
Titanic, but that's more broad. Yes. Okay.
yeah, it's broad, right? And it's
Yeah.
terrible. It's existed for as long as humans have existed, war
Yeah.
and famine, and it's every culture through every history. You got war, pestilence,
So the four
warmongering. You got
horsemen. That's what you just
It's
said.
basically the four horsemen of apocalypse, right?
You said off.
War, famine, terrible, right? The
Yes.
next thing, right under that, it's
Oh
right
man.
under
Oh man.
war, famine, Wilmer freaking Valderrama playing Zorro in the One Piece adaptation. This is our next human tragedy. This
Wait,
One Piece,
you talking about
this
one?
One
No,
Piece
it's not One
series.
Piece.
Did you
Zorro
say
the
Zorro?
Mexican. No, Zorro the Mexican.
Oh!
Yeah, man. That's why I two R's, not one R.
Dude, I saw so as a peek behind the curtain for everyone.
Yes.
I saw this Jay, put this topic on our like set list or whatever you want to call it. And I read this and I immediately got so upset. I
Fuming.
even spoke to Erica about it. I
That's
spoke to
funny.
Erica about it.
That's
And
funny.
I was like, wow, man, like they're really trying to play with my emotions with this Netflix show. Like, why would they do that? I was upset, and I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? Jay is the One Piece guy. He's plugged into everything. Like I follow stuff and I try and find out about information, but I was like, I guess this one slipped by me, and I was I was so
I can
upset.
imagine we're just fuming.
I really was like, damn man, like they're really doing this to us. Like this is the next Dragon Ball evolution. Like they're
Yeah.
really doing this. And like I said, I spoke to Erica, didn't care about it, but I was like, babe, Wilmer Valderrama, he's gonna be Zoro. You know the pirate anime that I watch? It's like he's gonna be in that. I was
And she just looks at you
so
like,
upset.
okay.
She was just like, oh wow, okay, yeah.
Nah,
I
nah,
was
but
so upset.
Zorro
So
with
now
two
hearing
R's.
that it's Zorro, the masked, like, what's his tag? It's like the masked Avenger or something, right?
There's the Legend of
Or the
Zorro,
masked swordsman.
wow, I'm like blurring it out. There's because there's the one with Antonio Banderas. That's my knowledge of Zorro.
Well, that's the mask of Zorro, isn't it?
The Mask of, yes, the Mask of Zorro, and then there's the Legend of Zorro, which is his sequel. But
Yeah.
those epitaphs just change over time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
So
now
we're
that I
talking about the masked swordsman Zorro, the classic.
the Mexican hero,
I think
um,
it started in the 50s, right?
20s going, but 50s popular made it more popular.
Wow, no way, really.
Yeah. So it was 1919 first
What?
appearance. Yeah.
No
But
freaking
what I
way.
found out is that so the character himself was owned by a company. I'll tell you right now. So this is what. So it's gonna be Disney Plus. It's gonna be on Disney Plus,
Oh, so
right?
it's a Disney Plus
It's
original?
a Disney,
This
but
new show?
it was
This,
owned.
we're gonna take. I'm gonna take back the whole. This is a new human
No, no,
tragedy
but we
thing. We're
know
gonna
what you
walk this
feel. And
back.
just to give you some information, guys, There is a Zoro from One Piece. The actor is Japanese, so that's I'm gonna just tell you that right now. He's Japanese. He
Cool.
fits the role, like whatever. But that's neither
Nice.
here nor there. We'll get to that when more info comes on that. So, uh, where was I going with this? So
I can't
Zoro.
believe I made that big of a mistake. That's so funny.
So yeah, because the Zoro in One Piece has one R. Um, Yeah, or there's the mark of Zorro. That's the other thing we're talking about. The mark of Zorro.
Mm,
See. So yeah, like certain iterations, ABC, obviously Disney has done like
mhm.
shows off on that. But the movies with Antonio Banderas has nothing to do with Disney. That was Sony, Columbia Pictures. And I was like, oh, but it seems like there is a
So could he
company.
technically be in the Spider Verse? Is that what you're saying?
Uh, that's the first thing I thought of when I was like, "Yo, if they doing the multiverse," and he like, bruh. But I don't think he's owned. But when it comes to like comics, it's not. It's Dynamic Comics that does the publishing, so it's not like Disney or Marvel, which is like
Mhm.
really weird because his character, like copyright stuff, is spread through random companies. So like uh, for like this one, it's
Well,
gonna
I'm
be
sure it was like Marvel back in the day, like early '90s, right? Marvel, you had Universal owns some rights, and
with
you had
like
Sony
Blade.
owns. Excuse me.
You said like you mean like you said like Blade, like when it says to owning some characters. Because
Yeah,
who
like
owns Blade?
I said like Marvel in general. So like
Oh,
in
gotcha,
early '90s, like Marvel had deals with everyone. So like Fox had distribution on cartoons. Then Universal had the agreement with the park where they could show the comic book version, the '90s or early 2000s comic book versions of all the Marvel characters in their
gotcha,
park
gotcha.
like
Yeah,
forever. And then different movie studios owning different rights of distributing characters. Like, so I'm sure it was something like that where there was someone who owned it and then they just started piecing it out to make money off of it.
yeah. So like that's what I found. So like there's a company that kind of like owns it. It's called Zorro Productions. But I
Hmm.
think when it comes to Disney, they own like I think serializing, not movie making movies. So because
Mm.
they had the whatever the Mark of Zorro, the Legend of Zorro on their ABC channel, and then I'm sure no one ever watched this, but it was called like the Son of Zorro, which was also on ABC. So and then one, so like my knowledge was always the Antonio Banderas movies and the cartoon that I used to watch, like when it was on like UPN or something in the morning, like with like Sherlock Holmes and like remember in the mornings when they had
Oh, yep, yep,
it
yep.
used to appear in the mornings around that time. But yeah, it's gonna be a Disney Plus original, and I'm like, look, Wilmer, I haven't seen him in anything except like CSI or whatever cop show he's in now. But
Well, he's Fez. He's Fez from Friends.
no,
I
but I
mean, from
mean
Friends,
not
from that '70s show.
no, no, I know that, but like I mean now, what is he doing? Like the
Oh,
last
recently.
before that, I saw him doing like
Uh,
Yo Mama. I think it was called. Was it called Yo Mama?
oh yeah, that was back in the day though,
That was
when he
back
was
in the
the
day,
host of Yo Mama.
but he looked cooler after Fez. So it's like, what has he been
Yeah,
doing? But I think he's been doing like.
he's done some roles and stuff. He was just in something that I saw recently.
So I was like,
Oh,
oh,
he was in Encanto. He was in that.
oh, but what was his role?
The new, and I'm sure that goes hand in hand. It's a
NCIS. That's what it is.
Disney movie. I didn't even know he was in NCIS.
Yeah, like that
Yeah,
was the
who?
cop show that I know he was like in.
Oh, he's in like the main NCIS. Also, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm actually
Yeah,
really
where
curious
is?
on how he's gonna pull this off. Like, I liked Zorro. Like he
Yeah,
was a
he
cool
played the
character.
dad in Encanto. Yeah,
Oh, okay, cute.
yeah,
All right. I have to like because I watched it and I enjoyed it. We'll talk about that some
it's
other
fun.
time. I liked it. I just have to pay attention to his voice. But I'm a fan of Zorro. I'm curious. I have nothing to say until I see something. I don't think he's a
I mean,
bad actor. I just haven't
I
seen him
think
do much.
as opposed to being Roronoa Zorro in the Netflix adaptation, I think this role fits Wilmer way better. I think he has the face for it. I
Yeah,
think with the mask on, he's gonna look. You know
he's
how
gonna
like
look
people say
cool.
Batman has like certain attributes. Like one of the biggest things for Batman is the chin, right? So I think Wilmer has the facial structure to kind of pull off a good Zorro. I mean,
Yeah,
Zorro's. I think, especially now, Disney has all this money and stuff. I don't think they'll do it wrong. But I mean, never say never, right? But I think with this, Zorro's just a timeless character, you know.
Yeah,
So I don't think it could do bad.
yeah. From
I think
the
it's one of
little
those
that
things where everyone's gonna watch it, at least the first episode. You know, it'll
yeah,
bring in a lot of like different audiences,
yeah,
people that are familiar with like the Western TV show in the 50s, then like people who like the Antonio Banderas movies. You know, it'll pull a lot of people. You know,
yeah.
Zorro,
And
like I said, classic
I think
character.
for most people have the nostalgia because what's his name? Josh Peck was doing a that other
Oh,
Disney.
Turner and Hooch.
Yeah, like that's supposed to be like a reboot slash refresh of the series.
Yeah,
Never
it
knew
looks
about.
okay. I
Yeah,
didn't watch it, but it looks all
yeah.
right.
Like that wasn't my thing. But like if I was a Turner and Hooch person, I would check it out. But me being a
Yeah,
Zorro fan, I'm like, oh, I would like to see that. And from the
yeah.
blurb that I read, it's like it's most likely going to look like a period piece because it's like you can't do a modern day Zorro like a
Which
dude
I
with a
think is
sword.
the right way to do that. Yeah,
Yeah, because if you do a modern day Zorro with a
it's
sword,
kind of
I'm
sucks.
sure he's gonna have some sort of upgraded modern day weapon to like do his vigilante acts.
It would just be yeah, it would be
It'd be
more of like a
weird.
vigilante thing. It'll be too much.
It'd be Batman because that's what Batman has the
What comes
similarity.
to mind is like it would be like Daredevil to me. That's what I thought of. Like if
Oh,
like I mean he's not blind or anything, but I don't know why. Like Netflix's Daredevil popped in when you said, it's going to be a period piece and not modern. So I just think that it should be a period piece. I think it does best like that. You can't pull it into modern day without it being too cheesy, you
yeah,
know?
it would be. Yeah, I can see that being very bad. But no,
Because a
I'm
guy
really
running
down
around
for
with a sword would be super weird. Like he could just get shot.
it. Yeah, unless he has like invulnerable.
Yeah,
Unless,
like at that point he becomes a superhero.
yeah, he has like a.
Instead of
Like I
a
said, if
cape
he's Batman
of
with
savior.
Kevlar, and then he starts
Yeah.
like doing the Z thing with his sword. Like, why are you gonna get that close up to your enemy to do your Z thing? It kind of reminds me of that scene in Indiana Jones. The guy's just doing the sword thing and just like bam, like
And he shoots him. Yeah.
that's what happens. But
So
other than that,
Justin's fun fact of the episode, that scene was actually improvised by Indiana Jones actor Harrison Ford.
boom
The
boom.
scene the original scene was actually supposed to be a full out sword fight, but when filming, Harrison Ford was like, this is much more in character, so he just took out his prop gun and shot him. So they ended up filming that and keeping that in the movie instead.
I'm sure Han Solo would be proud. Haha.
He did shoot first. So now knowing it's not Roronoa Zoro and it's actually Zoro,
Yeah,
I'm way happier about this news because I think it could be something cool.
yeah,
I would definitely check it out.
yeah. When you said One Piece, I was like, wait, he got confused.
I like I cannot tell you how irate I was because well, I guess maybe we'll talk about this later, but I am back into One Piece again and I
Yes,
crushed you would be proud of me. I
I
crushed
saw
like
I saw what you were
50
watching.
episodes in like a couple days and like crushed it.
I'm happy.
So anyway, so so yeah, I guess maybe One Piece was just on the brain, and when I read that on our sheet, I was like, "Oh my god, no!" So, but knowing it's actually Zoro, the masked swordsman, I'm way happier. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
So,
I'm happy that was
moving
clarified.
on from that sad news turned good comes some actual sad news. We lost a entertain. You know what? No, we lost a human icon.
Yeah,
Um, last week, uh, Betty White has officially left the physical plane and joined the other Watchers up there. Um,
it's funny you say that
I was
because I felt like because the when I heard the news, I felt like when Stan Lee had passed because she's one of my like models too. Like she's such a great person, and I was just so sad to hear that, especially on the last day of the year.
yeah, man. Last day of the year, she was what was it, 13 or 14 days away from hitting
Yeah,
100.
like a few weeks. Yeah,
It sucks, and I know she had that 100th birthday party, like, special plan, it was gonna be a
Yeah,
big TV thing. Um, I wonder if they'll still do it and they'll make it into, like, a tribute to her.
I think
Um,
they would do that. I feel like they
I
won't
hope so.
because knowing her, she would want that to continue. Like the other day,
Yeah.
they were playing like the Golden Girls, like it was like on a marathon
Yeah.
on like CMT or whatever channel.
ABC. ABC, right? Don't they
Oh,
own it?
if they did it on ABC, cool, but it was on CMT as well. It's like another channel
Oh,
or
okay. Well, I
IM
mean,
what
it's whatchamacallit,
syndicated.
syndicated, yeah, so it could be anywhere, I
Yeah,
guess.
because like after an episode, like we watched a few, and after an episode, it was like rest in peace, and then gave her like birth dates, and I was like, that was cute.
Mhm.
I like that. Always wanted to watch Golden Ghost like through and through because I've seen episodes I laughed like out loud and it's really funny. But
There's
yeah,
a
just
lot of, like,
yeah,
funny like you said, like, I've never seen it through and through. Seen a couple episodes here, and there's a lot of, like, funny stuff. Like,
she was the original Phoebe.
yeah,
Watching a few episodes, she was the original Phoebe.
and it's crazy
Mhm.
because I found out, when she died, I saw, all these different things talking about Betty White. She was the oldest Golden Girl. Did you know that? She
Did
was
not
even
know that.
older. She was
Then the
even
mom.
older than the mom. She was like a year older than the
That.
mom.
But you know what's crazy? When I watch the show, I look at the mom. I always feel like there was prosthetics. That could be a
Oh,
personal opinion because I was like,
makeup.
I know she's supposed to play the one of the tall one's mother,
Yeah,
and but I always felt like, and it's the TV's the well not TV the show is a little grainy, but I'm like
yeah,
because my TV is better than the show itself. I'm like, does that look like she's wearing makeup to make her look older?
yeah.
But
It
if that's
definitely
the
was some
case, that's
makeup.
but
But yeah,
yeah,
Betty White was, I think, a year older than the mom. And
wow,
I was like, "What?" And then on top of that, I mean, obviously I liked Betty White a lot. You know, we've all kind of grew up with her. She's been around for almost 100 years and she's been
yeah.
acting for most of it. Um, she's just so funny and she was such a good what she gave out into the world was always like acceptance. She was always kind-hearted, funny, and on top of that, she always like had a good message with her stuff. So I
Yeah.
was very sad to find out that she was passing. I mean, listen, she's been old since the 80s, so we knew this day was
It
coming, but
I always treated her like Stan Lee. I was like, they're just gonna be there. It's
they're
kinda
just
like
gonna be there forever.
when you were born, you knew who, like, Michael Jackson was. You knew who MJ was. You knew who, you knew who Stanley was. You knew who, Betty like, you
I
knew
mean,
who they
Michael
were.
Jordan is not dead.
No, but I'm saying that people when like, I'm talking about, like, growing up from the '90s. Like, you
Yeah,
already
yeah.
knew it was ingrained in you. Because like, why would I know like, you knew who Spider-Man like, these are just people that just ingrained in your brain. And Betty White was always a part of that. And then it makes me think like she's been old for a long time. And I was texting one of
She's been
our
old for 40 years.
yeah, yeah. And they say
It's
the
like
same.
Michael Caine. Michael Caine's the same way. Like these
I was gonna
people
say
have been
Morgan
old,
Freeman, but
or
Michael Caine
Morgan
too.
Freeman. Yeah,
So
Morgan
it's
Freeman started acting in his like 40s.
yeah, and I was just like, she's done a lot, and I love her for that because she's been in like I think one of the things that stuck every time I think Betty White, I think of Donald Glover and her with I forget the actor's name, but he played Abed in Community. Then when they do the rap at the
Oh,
end of the
yeah.
episode, like and then she's been in the show for like maybe 2 or 3 episodes, and I really love her for doing that episode.
Yeah, she was one of their
Um,
teachers.
but it made me very concerning because she was like, I remember texting our mutual friend Andrea. I was like, it's so jarring for her because she's very spry for her age or was, and I just could only she didn't get sick. It was all natural causes. I could assume like if Corona wasn't the thing, she would be out and about. She'd still be doing because I think she's just been cooped up home. She was been in lockdown for so long. And I believe if she was still moving around, she would still live on. And it sucks to think that way, but it's like, man, I would have loved to meet her. That was like another
Yeah,
dream of mine where I low key would have wanted to meet her.
I think she falls to that to that standard of like, everyone wants to meet her, and it would have been such a great thing just to get to be in her presence. I've one of my favorite things, I mean, I've seen her in a bunch of stuff, including like Golden Girls and different movies,
Yeah.
Community. Um, But one of my favorite things ever is in the proposal when she plays the like hippie grandma
Yeah.
and she ends up dancing in like an Indian drum circle with Sandra Bullock and they're doing to the window, to the
Yeah.
window, to the
Yeah.
walls, to the walls. So it was just so funny. And I think Betty White, like in everything that she did, at least what I was familiar with, she had such a almost like an innocent way of bringing things, like executing acting roles, and it
Yeah.
just made it so much funnier every time that she did it. You
Yeah.
know,
She was very innocent with her work. She did everything. She did everything.
everything.
I also recall, like, I think it was a Super Bowl commercial, but it could have just been a regular commercial, the Snickers one, where she
Oh,
plays
when she
like,
gets tackled, right?
yeah. And then I could imagine her on set. I'm like, no, actually tackle me. But like, obviously, you're not gonna do that. But I could imagine her saying that and on the
Yeah,
set, like, yeah, just
and I
tackle me.
mean,
Just
yeah,
be
she's
real.
done everything. I think she had her own show in like the '60s. I think.
Probably, yeah, I think so. I
She,
haven't
like,
looked that
hosted
up.
her own show. I mean, she was always an activist, she was always, like, for equal rights. Um, I say the own show thing because she I don't remember if she hosted it or if it was her show, but she had, like, a variety show or something like that, and
Yeah,
one of the reoccurring acts was a black tap dancer, and she actually got flack from the station or from the producers saying, "Hey, you can't do that. We're not gonna have a black guy on our show." And she was like, "Oh, well, it's my show, so deal with it." And she kept him as a recurring person. So, there was bits and pieces, she's always been very vocal about her activism, even into her late years. Like she's always for, equal opportunity rights, whether it be for the LGBT community or for women or for minorities. She was always out there. I mean, even Golden Girls itself had some pretty like eye-opening episodes. I mean, the one episode with Don Cheadle, I know
yeah,
that's like it's not really Betty White, that's a Blanche episode,
yeah,
but it's Blanche and Don Cheadle, and they kind of talk about um like white people and how they treat black people behind their backs and the Confederate flag. And I mean, honestly speaking, we grew up in the 90s and it was pretty tolerant, but you didn't really talk about that stuff,
yeah,
and that was in like, probably early 90s, late 80s maybe.
yeah.
Like you didn't talk about it.
You just went with
You
it.
just knew, you should be accepting everyone.
Yeah.
And that was it. So,
And that's just going from our perspective. Like me
yeah.
growing up, um, not to get super deep into it, this could be its own conversation at another time. But like growing up, I was like made fun of for being black. In I was born and raised in the Heights, where it's fully Dominican, and I'd just be the only dark person in the class. And then there's another dark person, but he's Dominican, so they don't make fun of him. But it's just weird. So it made me feel weird. But then, growing up, I always felt like, I either learned to laugh things off. Obviously, I was never better from it, and that's, comes into self-esteem and all that. But then I got friends, and I learned that being different is okay, and I just started doing my things. Like I like anime. Like now, a black person liking anime is great. It's really cool. So I'm like, I don't want to say I did it before. So I did it as because it's something I liked, and then I'm happy to see that. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, other black people went through some sort of similar experience.
No.
So it's like her being very accepting reminds me of me growing up. Like, I was always accepting of others, even though they weren't accepting of me. And I think that's something that I like that she emanated. If that's the word that's
Yeah,
the
I
word.
mean, that's that's the hard part of being accepting, right? Like it's easy to accept others when you're being accepted, It's
Yeah,
harder to accept when you're an outcast, so to speak.
yeah,
And somebody like Betty White, um, spending her entire career accepting others and making sure other people knew that she was accepting, that's a big deal, especially growing up during the time that she was like
yeah.
talking 50s, 60s, we're still segregation, Jim Crow,
That
and
she's a white woman that
yeah,
no one may have taken her seriously, but then she had the clout, which
yeah,
she worked hard for.
yeah.
She worked hard
You
for
know,
that.
and seeing people, and I mean, it's still happening today, but you got to look at Betty White as one of those forerunners that really brought acceptance to the front.
Yeah.
Like they were like, no, if I'm gonna accept you, I have to accept everyone else around you. So
Yes.
this is how it's gonna be. This is how we need to be as a people. So yeah, Betty White has always been someone that I associate with acceptance and kindness to her fellow human.
Yeah.
So
No, 100%.
it's
She will
definitely
be she will be missed, but her presence won't be gone because
yes,
her comedy is gonna live through someone who's watched all her shows religiously and will be the next. I don't want to say be the next Betty White, but will carry on
her
her
spirit. Yeah,
her spirit, her will. Which we should all do that.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, that's I think to wrap this up, the one thing that we should take from bless you, the one thing
Thank
that we should take from somebody's in passing like this, and I mean in general,
you. Yeah.
is you take the things that they stood for, the good things that they stood for, and you try and live it in your own life, right? So, and in that way, what they did never dies, right? If you can take the lessons and move forward and impart those lessons to other people with what you do, she'll always be, in the background somewhere. Like her presence will forever be felt if we lead lives the way she did. And Betty White is amongst one of the few that, and I mean, I can call like an icon and like an industry icon, not
Yeah.
only in terms of entertainment, but in how she affected the lives of viewers, right?
Yes.
So
Oh yeah.
as a
I
as
wholeheartedly agree with that.
yeah.
That was a nice.
So
That's nice. I like how you ended that.
so
So,
moving on to some fun news from that. In a galaxy far, far away, a long, long
ooh,
time ago, we have found Disney Plus's new show, The Book of Boba Fett. Boom,
yeah.
boom, boing. I
That
actually
sounds.
don't know the theme.
No, I was gonna say that's more Mandalorian, but it's still
Yeah.
Ludwig, still doing the music for the series.
Who?
I think it's been 2 episodes now. Ludwig, the artist who does the music, Ludwig van Gorison or something like that. I'm
I don't know who
mispronouncing
that
it.
is. I don't know who that
He
is.
did the music for Black Panther as well.
No, didn't Kendrick Lamar do the music for
Oh,
Black Panther?
he did the soundtrack, the movie soundtrack, but the original score is by Ludwig.
No, that's by Kendrick Lamar. I think he composed everything.
Are
I'm
you just
pretty positive on this. I'm pretty
are you
positive.
just being
Ken,
sarcastic or no?
Grammy winner,
No,
Grammy
Kendrick
winning artist
Lamar did
Kendrick
the
Lamar
Kendrick Lamar.
composed. The,
Kendrick
he
Lamar did.
arranged the soundtrack, but he
Yes,
also composed the
no, he
score
didn't.
for
He
the
didn't
movie.
do the
Yeah, he
original
did.
score.
You
I
don't know what
think
you're talking
nah.
about.
I think you're being sarcastic. You're being facetious right now. You're trolling.
You don't know what you're talking about. Kendrick
Anyways,
Lamar.
and
No, I didn't.
whoever's
I
listening,
didn't know.
Kendrick Lamar is great. I'm not saying he's not. I just telling you, like, I know there's gonna be people like, "What do you mean?" Kendrick Lamar?" Like, no, he didn't. But anyway, Book of
I know
Boba.
Kendrick Lamar did not score Black Panther.
Okay,
FYI.
no, I just don't know if I was like, oh, is he trolling or is he being serious? Book of Boba. Only saw the first episode. Uh, not to get, I'm not gonna get too spoilery, and if it feels like spoiler, I'll just say spoilers now. But I'm not gonna I'm not trying to say too much. But basically, it takes place from if you've watched Mandalorian, it takes place kind of right after that. But they do in the first episode, they did a good job showing flashbacks of after Return of the Jedi, which is pretty dope.
Hmm.
Um,
So
yeah,
I'll pop up. I'll pop up the spoiler alert right now for the next like minute or so. So um, I saw a lot of these things, and it's pretty funny. I don't know if you saw it
I know
from
what you saw.
the show Parks and Rec,
Yes,
how Patton Oswalt like called it. But
yeah,
I feel like what everyone forgets is that was an actual scene, like the scene that they shot for the opening, because I know exactly the scene you're talking about.
yeah.
That they shot for the opening of Boba Fett. That is a deleted scene from Return of the Jedi. Like
Mm,
almost frame by frame. Like that's a thing that existed. It was in the DVDs and stuff when it came out back in the day. Like that was real and that was canon back when George Lucas first filmed that movie because it
They had
was
deleted
original.
scenes on VHS. No, I'm just playing.
Well,
But
I don't know
I
if it
know,
ever existed on the
no, no, but I know what
VHS,
you
but
mean. It is a deleted scene.
yeah, to delete
That I
like
didn't know.
literally that it's literally that scene of you know, the camera went over the Sarlacc pit in the desert and it waited, 2, 3 seconds, and then you see Boba's hand come up and then he crawls out of the pit. It's the exact same scene.
Okay.
So, I mean, listen, I love Parks and Rec. Kudos for connecting the dots with that. But it is actually a scene that existed and
Yeah.
they refilmed it for the Book of Boba.
Well, question. I forget because I haven't seen that episode in a while of Parks and Rec. But was he doing like a fan made story that was coming from him, or
Yeah,
was he
so
saying?
he was doing a filibuster of a meeting that they were having
Yeah,
of like a
yeah, I
town
remember.
hall.
Yeah,
Yeah, so his thing was he had wrote a fan fiction
got it,
because at that point the what was it the sequel trilogy was coming out.
got it.
So they had just announced it, but it hadn't come out yet. So he was reading his fan fiction of like how they're gonna connect the what was it? It was like how they're gonna connect Star Wars to the Marvel cinematic universe, and they were also gonna bring in like they said like robot Chewbacca comes in at one point. So there was like a lot of stuff. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because like I didn't know like there was like some sort of deleted scene or unused scripts of that. But yeah, it's basically how it opens up, which is pretty cool. The story, the first episode kind of tells you that what's gonna take place for the entire, it sets up the entire season. Basically, he's taking a Jabba the Hutt's
Jabba the Hutt.
throne, and he wants
Jabba.
to rule. But instead of fear, he wants to be ruled with respect, which is said in the
Hmm.
show and in the trailer. So it's not really a spoiler.
Yeah.
But
And I
it's
mean,
in
and that's where we left off in the Mandalorian as well. Like he takes Jabba's
yeah, he
throne
just
and he
takes yeah.
sits down. Yeah.
But yeah, it looks pretty dope. The action looks dope. It's still wow, I'm forgetting his name. The director Rodriguez. Is it Robert Rodriguez? He directed the episode where Boba shows up in Mandalorian. He did that episode. I forget his name, but his
Mm,
last name is Rodriguez. He did the first episode of Book of Boba.
gotcha.
Action sequences were great.
Is it
Yeah,
still being written by John Favreau or no?
he did. I think he wrote one and two. I think
Okay.
he wrote episode one and two. But the from what I looked up ahead for the second episode, it's a different director. But
Okay.
I feel like honestly, if John Favreau has, it's gonna be his mind. I wouldn't
Mm,
not. I would rather him write it. He did very well with Mandalorian as an original character. So imagine what you could
yeah.
do with a character that's in the sandbox that's already been in use, and you
Yeah.
got
I
the
mean, like
comics.
it's yeah in the comics as well. Like there's so much that he can draw from for Boba to breathe new life into it.
Yeah,
Um, like you said with Mando, he did such a good job just because it was all him. But Boba Fett, there's a lot of source material out there. There's a lot of stories they can draw from. I
and
will
yeah, what I
definitely be
like,
watching it. I just haven't yet.
yeah, it took a time because the first episode. Oh, sorry about that. That's Cece being annoying. She's not gonna stop. I kind of want to go over there and just grab her. She's being so annoying.
What is she barking at?
She bark. If there's a slight noise outside, she just starts barking.
She's
Sometimes I
trying
just
to
want to.
guard you, man.
She needs to
That's a
guard
little
herself.
dragon.
She always tries to bark at someone bigger than her, and if that
Of
dog does
course.
something, I'm gonna have to rein it in. Sometimes I just want the dog to just teach her a lesson, be like, "Look, you need to relax," and then I'll be like, "Okay, now you know, stop barking." But
So
anyway,
just going off on a quick tangent.
yes.
One of my aunts had a small dog. It was a small Shih Tzu, and it
Mhm.
used to only bark at dogs bigger than it. And one time I was walking it, and it barked at like a Doberman,
Oh,
big dog, and
great.
that thing could have just ripped it to shreds.
It's like,
So
"Arr."
yeah, so she barked at it, and it got so scared that it backed under a car. So it was a parked car, but
Wow.
it like it backed up, hit its head on the door,
Oh
and
no
went
way.
under the car and started like cowering. But I
That's
digress. Go back to
no,
what you
you
were
know.
saying.
No, no, but ultimately, the episode one really sets up a nice. This is what season one's about. But honestly, there could be twists and turns. Um, I'm actually looking forward to episode two because it's actually 20 minutes longer than the first episode.
Mhm.
So I'm
It's
pretty stoked.
it's early, but do you think that they'll continue with multiple seasons on this?
I don't know. Maybe they might. But like some shows, I feel like Obi-Wan, I hope they don't do another season. It needs to be just one thing. Because
I
like
concur.
as a Disney entity, like when they did announce Loki season two, I was like, why? Season one was good in itself, but
Well, no, season 2 needs to happen. They need to close the loop on that story.
yeah, but then it's like, okay, we know, like, they'll probably wow me, but it's just from what I know,
They will wow
Kang,
you.
yeah, like Kang is gonna be a villain in Ant Man, which is for a big villain or a big player as a villain in Ant Man seems a little much to me. But Ant Man is a seasoned hero, so I guess I can see that working out. But I don't know. I want to know what happens to Loki. I would assume he may show up in Multiverse Madness, and that can continue that story. But I think there's so much I can see them doing a season two, depending on what the story they have. But there are certain shows where I'm just like, honestly, there just needs to be one scene. Like Hawkeye, I don't I
Yeah,
don't need I don't need to see a season two.
yeah.
I want to see him continuing, but
Yeah, I still haven't seen the end. Like, I haven't seen the last episode of
yeah, I won't
Hawkeye,
get into that. But yeah, I just don't think
but
there should
yeah,
be
like Hawkeye makes sense for it to be one season. Um,
unless if they
Obi
do
Wan
yeah,
Obi Wan needs to be one season,
one season,
and
yeah,
that's it. They can't keep playing with us with this. We've been waiting for years for this to
and it needs to
happen.
be good. It needs to be perfect.
Yeah, it needs. Well, I can't imagine it's not going to be fantastic,
Yeah,
but it needs to be one season, and they need to end it like, I don't know, when Luke is gonna be like a teenager or something. Like, they need to end it. It needs to be finite. It needs to bridge that little gap. Boba Fett, I feel like, honestly speaking, if they continue with it, I haven't seen anything, so I don't really
yeah,
know. But just as like knowledge of general TV shows,
yeah,
I almost want it to end after one season because I don't want it to have to compete with Mandalorian. Because yes, they might do it like off seasons, right? So it's like one season's Mando, next season's Boba, but then I have a problem with it, and it reminds me of like Walking Dead with the Fear of the
yeah,
Walking Dead.
yep, yep, yep,
You
yep.
know, so you got two shows that are in the same timeline doing the same stuff in different areas, but it just like one is gonna beat the other, and then you'll take a back seat just and stop caring about it. So
Yeah,
I feel like in order to keep it good, they should end it at one season, maybe two, but they would
like
have to end season one like crazy, but
yeah, like
maybe two.
if they do two, and they do another season because I think with Mando you can keep going with that,
Yeah.
maybe up to season 4 or 5, and I'm stretching it by saying 5. Book of Boba, I can see another season, but then with Marvel they have so many. There's so you could just continue his stuff in comics because then at least you could give me a definitive end. Because now, yeah, like if anything you write when it comes to Star Wars, it's canon. And what I like about Mandalorian is that John Favreau and Filoni took some inspiration from the what's it called, the Legends, right? Star Wars Legends. This is
The
before.
comic book
No, no.
or
The
or
stuff.
the books?
No, no. It's basically anything that was before Disney is called like Star Wars Legends, or it's called
Oh,
something,
okay.
but it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
like canon. It's just called Legends.
Mhm.
So they would take some inspiration from that and then make certain stuff canon. So anything before Disney is not
Mhm.
part of it. So like anything Boba
Yeah,
Fett, like I
The
said,
Lucas era.
yeah, like at that point, it is a lot of source material you can pull from that. But I don't want to see them do so much and uh, just ruin it. Because one thing I learned
Honestly,
too. Yeah, go ahead.
no, no, go finish your
No,
thought.
that was like so. Seeing episode one, you got the Tuscan Raiders. When I
Mhm.
was randomly curious, like to see what they look like under, I googled it. So they do talk about it, but it takes place before Disney acquires Star Wars. So
Mm,
post Disney, we don't know what they look like. We don't know what their race is. Pre Disney, it's like they look different. They just have weird looking faces. And I've seen images, but I was like, oh, that doesn't
mhm.
clarify anything for me. But yeah. Anyway, you were saying
Um,
you lost your train of thought. I'm so sorry.
no, it's good. It's all
Was it
good. Uh,
Boba himself?
but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna watch it and hopefully, like, I'm sure I'm gonna like it for what it is. Um, I like this trend. I remember what I was gonna say now. I
Yeah.
like this trend that Star Wars is doing with kind of like bridging these gaps, right? And showing us what's happening to characters. We have Obi-Wan, we have, I mean, even Mandalorian to an extent, right? We got to see Luke at the end of season 2, right?
Yeah, Luke and this girl. And why am I
Oh,
forgetting her
and
name? Ahsoka.
Ahsoka. I don't even know how I could forget her name. She's literally right on my desk.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, we have Ahsoka. So it's bridging gaps, and then we're gonna have Obi-Wan. We're having Boba Fett. Like finally, we get to see what happened after the fact. I remember in Mando season 1, like they were talking about there was a possible cameo of Boba Fett because there was one of the
Oh
Mandalorians
yeah.
looked like he had the same armor, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Now we're getting actual Boba Fett. We see him coming out of the Sarlacc pit. We see that he's been in hiding, and now he's coming back to take Jabba's throne. Um, I don't know about you. I got the Boba Fett skin on Fortnite, so I'm happy about that. Um,
I don't play Fortnite. I actually just random tidbit. I was just on my Switch and I saw you were on Fortnite. I was like, oh, cool. But yeah, that's pretty dope.
so yeah, I like this, and you know what? Actually, I'm gonna give credit to my wife. She said something a little while ago, and she was like, "When are we gonna get a Mace Windu series?" And I was like,
That's
"Huh."
random. Why does she know that?
So because Erica has simultaneously the worst and best taste imaginable. It is we and I'm gonna say this now, and she listens to our podcast, so I'm sure she'll smile when she
Yeah.
finally hears this.
Yeah.
We will have 1 or 2 episodes breaking down my wife's MCU
Her.
picks
Her.
because guys, they are atrocious. Anyway, so I was talking to her about because she had asked what we were going to talk about on today's episode, and I told her about Boba Fett and all that, and then that's when she was like, "Yeah, when are we going to get a Mace Windu thing?" And I was like, "You know what? I don't know. I don't really think about Mace Windu like that. I mean, we got
I do all the time and I want to be that person that writes it. Hopefully one day.
so back in the day, the only extra Mace Windu content I can remember is you remember the Clone Wars
The
cartoon.
2D, yeah, by Gendy Tartakovsky. Yeah.
That one. And it was like 3-minute episodes. The only thing that came to mind was I remember they had an episode about when he force punched General Grievous and gave him the cough, right?
Yes.
So it like explained the fact that General Grievous
Why
has
he
a cough
breathes
because
like
of
that.
him, and it was just like cool to know that little bit of backstory. But for whatever reason, Erica has latched on to Mace Windu since seeing him in episode 1. Latched on to the point where every Star Wars related thing is like she's like, "Did Mace Windu come back?" And I was like,
But yeah,
"No, babe.
I can
He got
only
electrocuted and thrown off a 500 billion story building. Like he's dead."
imagine her, and this is just me shooting shooting a gun at a barrel of fishes on her thought process. Him being
Okay.
either black or wow, Samuel L. Jackson, because he's the only black person in the Star Wars, technically in the Star Wars universe, from what she saw. So I'm like,
Yeah.
like it's a person of color. It just
She just I don't know, she just
and the
really
purple
liked him.
lightsaber. It's very purple. It
She
stands
just
out.
really liked him. I think maybe the purple lightsaber did it because even now when we're watching, we're going through the phases of the MCU, she will say Mace Windu. Like it's not Samuel L. Jackson or Nick
Oh,
Fury,
it's
it's Mace Windu.
wow.
She just latched on to that character, and I was always like I always don't get me wrong, I always thought Mace Windu was cool, and the purple lightsaber was dope.
Mhm.
Like that's a thing. That's one of my colors. It's purple or cyan. Like that is my lightsaber colors. But I never really thought about his backstory, and then she said that today, and I was like, you know what? I don't think I would mind a Mace Windu backstory because we know nothing about him.
What I
Unless
would
there's
like,
like books or legends or comic books or whatever.
yeah,
I know nothing about Mace Windu.
I know nothing except from the media content on TV and movies.
Yeah.
And but like it's like I've seen people do like fan short films and stuff
Mhm,
like that. Um, I had the idea. I've tagged Boyega and Samuel Jackson many times saying I will write the next Mace Windu story. All I want is for Boyega's Finn to get his due diligence and not be a joke character because he was
mhm.
originally supposed to be a Jedi, and the suits messed that up and made him, and not to pull out the black card because he was black, they ruined his character. I want Mace Windu. He's not at peak form because he's probably blind. He probably have a nice blind sensei with one arm. I want him to teach Finn to be a Jedi, and then Finn is trying to do something. I'll figure it out. I have the basis there,
I wouldn't I think that'd be super cool. I
but
mean,
I need it.
you would really have to explain how they came together because like why would they find themselves together at any point?
So okay, so like this is not to get super in a tangent because we still got other things to talk about, but like my basic thing is he probably doesn't need to be there physically. Um, just going off the
I
end
mean,
of
they can always kind of like Darth Maul it, where like it's half of his body is like mechanical.
no, not even. I want to go the Jedi way in this. I'm kind of leaning into the Jedi because I know Mace Windu knows how to go go from light to dark because he's very good at that. But I would go full Jedi and be like he's a spirit, like he's a Force ghost, right?
Mm.
But at the end of the atrocious, what was the last movie called? The last Sky. What was it called? The Skywalker. The Rise of
I
Skywalker.
don't
Yeah, the
remember.
Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. After that horrible movie, and Finn was like, "Hey, I feel the Force." No, you're not Force sensitive. You're a Jedi. I want that to be fully blown. I want like John Boyega doing his thing, and he's just like for some reason he gets into like a force connection with Mace Windu through the force because his body's done. He's been done for so long.
But now, don't you think it's a little weird because it's like the only two black guys are now force connected?
It would be weird. It would be weird, but I'd make it work. I'd make it work because
Listen, I
I would
would love
I
to
could
read
think of it
that. If you can make
because
it
look,
work, I
I'd
would.
say something like, what if we've had other Jedi's and there see John Boyega. I keep saying John Boyega. I know it's Finn, but John Boyega just down in the dumps for some horrible thing that happened. And what if John Boyega's character struggles with the dark side and the light side, but the only person that can teach him is Mace Windu? But you got all these like force entities, dark and light, trying to get at him, but Mace Windu comes out of that and he's like, no, I will teach you. And he kind of does a Mr. Miyagi kind of thing. This is all just spitballing, but I
So
can
it
lie.
kind of sounds like just to cap that thought off. It
Yeah.
kind of sounds like um the Force Unleashed, the video game, because remember he was a bad guy in the beginning, and then he ends up going on a mission to assassinate a Jedi. He blinds the Jedi.
Mhm.
They have this massive fight in
I remember
one of the
that.
star cruisers. Jedi falls out, and later on, it ends up being like that's his sensei, and he's teaching him the ways of the light to become an actual Jedi to come away from the Sith. And he's blind. So it kind of seems like maybe that would be sort of like that, but black. So
Yeah, but then
I mean,
Star
listen,
Killer, technically he's not canon. So I'm like, why not do it with black characters? I was
which
like,
is garbage because he
oh
needs to
no, no.
be.
And you know what? I would bring him back too, just for the hell of it. I'll
You know what?
bring
Just
back
make John Boyega Star
a
Killer. I'm
good
fine
looking
with
Star
that.
Killer. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Make Finn.
Dude,
You know what? We're gonna
you should
start this
see my
hashtag
notes.
campaign right now. Make Finn Star Killer.
You should see my notes.
Listen, that last Star Wars movie was fan service for the sake of fan service. That
Facts.
means we can do this. We can make John Boyega's Finn into Star
And it will
Killer
fit in the
and have
universe.
a force connection with Mace Windu.
It would fit in the universe. I wouldn't just and I wouldn't want it to be that they're the two only black people. Like I want
You
him.
know what? He's a distant relative of Mace Windu. I'm calling it now. He's Mace Windu's like nephew or something.
We could do that. We could do that. This you know how you had the Justin verse? This is my J verse. Like every time someone talks about Mace Windu is one of my favorite characters until he got pushed out of the window. But
Till he got
I say
freaking assed.
I say like pushed out, but not like I honestly want it to be kind of like a spiritual journey because it's like
Mm.
Finn, like okay, like the end of the third movie of the sequel, horrible. I hate that they say he's force sensitive. I don't know what that means. I want you to be a Jedi. I do know what it means, but it's like I want him to go on a
It's a
spiritual journey
cop
where
out. It's a cop
yeah,
out. That's what
yeah.
it is.
I want him to go on a spiritual journey, and then he had like you know how you could be really good at one thing in the Force. Like, you could be good
Mhm.
at like combat. You could be good at like moving things or stuff. I want him to be a Jedi, like average, but he's very good at tapping into talking to Force ghosts because you don't see that often. They just show up, but he can like concoct it and not concoct it, but like what's the word I'm looking for
Like
when you
manifest it.
not manifest, but you know when people do like not these seances, the word is like
Oh,
can't
well,
bring
like he can summon them, I guess.
in a sense, but not like forcefully. It's kind of like it's just
Yeah.
more mutual. Like if he needs help, he gets help from that entity. But his main ghost is Mace Windu. Kind of like and it's funny because it's Samuel Jackson too, Afro Samurai, the weird ninja
Mm.
that is also like a non-entity, but he's also an entity. I don't know if you ever watched Afro Samurai, but
I tell like
kind
an
of
episode or two.
yeah, like because it's
It
both
kind of
characters.
sounds also. It kind of
Yeah,
sounds also a little bit like Avatar: Last Airbender. Like you know how he can tap in and talk to other avatars, but Roku is like his main one.
yeah, like just like
Yeah.
that, just like that, just like that. They look. I'm telling you, I'll write it. I'm gonna start that Twitter hashtag,
All right, you hear that, babe? Erica, this is for you. Jay's gonna write the Mace Windu series that you've always wanted to see.
and that'll just be one season, and it'll be just called Windu,
Oh yeah, it would have to be just one season,
and
and
then
it's like
it won't be season two, but the
that's it.
next series will be just called Finn.
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 Well, we have
Me.
to get. I'm talking about. We have to get the origins of Mace Windu as well.
Oh
So
no,
if you
but in
can,
it
if you can tell the origins within it, I'm fine with
I
that.
kind of I keep thinking kind of like season one of Arrow where they do like flashbacks, but I don't want it to
Yeah.
be too heavy handed where it's like whatever happened in the past is happening to Finn. That's corny to me. That's
Again,
bad
yeah.
writing. But I want
I
to
feel
do something
like
like that.
I feel like Mace would be a good character because he's so stoic and like kind of a dick. Like
And Finn
he's
is not
not.
like that.
Yeah, and he's not happy at all. Like he's very stern, and I think seeing him as a young Jedi having to like I'm sure he was very arrogant, and having to build up like that. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Yoda trained him. So
I would say yes, but yeah, I could
so to
sounds
see that dynamic of like super stern, probably arrogant, like apprentice combated by the very like I'm sure he wasn't whimsical then because he was younger, but the very wise and like deadpan Yoda, I think would be a really cool
well.
dynamic to
Remember,
work
he
off of.
I'm pretty sure he'd still be whimsical because Yoda is eons years old. Eons
Yeah,
probably
but he
not.
wasn't really whimsical in like the prequels, right? Like 1, 2, and 3. He didn't get whimsical until he kind of
Oh,
like was in
you're talking
exile
about
forever.
yeah, yeah. He was more senile then. You're right.
Yeah.
You're
So
right. But yeah, I'm excited. Like thinking about this, even talking about what we were talking about earlier, and that'd be a surprise for our listeners. But when it comes to writing, like I'm really hyped to it. Just talking, like just workshopping this through our
yeah,
podcast. It's gonna be a thing.
it's always fun.
And if the FBI and Disney are listening in, I'm right here, guys. I will
Take
write
me.
this for you. You just see like a light shine over me, and then I'm just raised up.
You just
Like,
float up.
Jim, where'd you go?
I'll be like, all right, well that's it.
All
um
right, I'll see you next week.
so keeping So I think that's a good place to move on from there. Uh, New Mace Windu content coming at you,
in
but
20 something.
staying with this futuristic vibe, right? Um, I saw this video. I'm gonna need you, Jay, to kind of take the reins on this. But I saw this video and it was very unnerving.
Yes.
So go ahead.
So I'm sure most of you guys who's listening, so that there was this robot with a very realistic face, and it got upset because a real human booped its nose. For those watching, just patted its nose with its finger like that, and it made an angry face, and I got scared because I was like, wow, like that thing will probably kill me. And it's like, oh, remember we were talking about how, oh, if it can only carry up to 10 pounds, yeah, if you get a majority of these robots, they will pick me up. I don't care how many weak points you give it, it will figure it out. It knows math.
Like it's getting to the point where, and I saw this, and it was first off, iRobot right off the bat.
iRobot and Terminator, those are the two things. But yes, it looks more like iRobot.
The face that it had was so human like and expressive. Like you can see, like it was like what are you doing? Like, and it was
Yeah, it
getting
was
a little
backing up.
upset, and it was so lifelike. It was so scary,
Yeah, like just to tell you where
terrifying.
it was. This was last month. So it's a company, Engineered Arts, the UK lead designer and manufacturer of humanoid entertainment robots. And
What does that
the
even
key,
mean? What are we going towards Westworld? What do we need entertainment robots
so
for?
well, the first thought when it comes to entertainment, because I've been hearing for the longest time, and I'm sure you've heard it, when it comes to like red light districts, when you're just gonna have for pleasure. That's been a thing. I like how you're looking so
Jay, this
like
is a
you're looking
family
you're looking
show.
just like very prude right now. Like but
Oh,
yeah, but I've thought of that, but then I thought of Westworld. You mentioned that too, because in Westworld, the crazy thing, Westworld is very far in the future where they're just like they can control their behaviors. They're never meant to hurt the human. They call them the guests. But then if you turn, flipping the switch. You can
switch.
now hurt. Now you can just kill humans. But no, it is scary. And like I said, I wrote an article about this a while back when I was interning at a thing, online publication. Uh, well, I was going to say Ethan Hawke's, Stephen Hawking. He said in an interview one time that we should not be driving towards AI. That will be the end of our humanity. And I understand the purpose of it, but then I feel like I'm the type of person that loves the future, but I love to keep my leg in the past because it's like you got to appreciate where we came from. But it's like, oh, okay, these AIs can help us do surgery at a nice precision. But then maybe the AI just gets smart and decides to build its own. And I just think Terminator. I'm like, ugh,
So you know what? I'm gonna bring it back to something that we said earlier,
bring it
and
back.
you were talking about Stephen Hawking, and I agree. And I mean, Stephen Hawking was against the Hydron Collider, the thing that
Oh,
makes the mini black hole. You remember
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's been doing it forever now, but he was against that too. Um, and I bring it back to what you said earlier. Science is a liar sometimes. See, he
I
can be a stupid biatch, but in this case, I think he's right, and I think we shouldn't be doing
but
these things.
he's right, but I don't think we should be going so far. Like I know we've made leaps and bounds, and we talked about this in our one of our previous episodes. Like, yes, if you're gonna give me like prosthetics like that are more intuitive
Interact
to
with the
connect in,
nerves and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's just more ingrained into the system where I'm like, all right, I'm missing a leg, I can finally run and walk. I don't say properly, but just more comfortably and stuff like that.
yeah.
But and you can, and I can say you can borderline. That's in a sense like an AI kind of a thing. The more
Hmm.
interactive the nerves are with the human nerves, it would be great. Now, if you're gonna build a robot, that's just now you're. I understand it's like a huge flex for humanity, but I don't think we need that flex. Who you're flexing to? Like we don't need that right now. What we need is yes, better tools for there's certain parts of the ocean that we never seen before. Maybe an AI could do figure that out. Like it should be designed for that. But to create something that can feel human emotions, I could imagine that robot sitting there only processing the minimal surface of humanity. The moment he realizes, or she, because it's non-binary, whatever, uh, just realizes like, I don't like the way I'm feeling, and you made me. I'm coming after you. That's what I feel like. That sounds like a teenager, but that's, and we all
But
saw
that's
Age of
thought
Ultron.
process.
Yeah, we saw Age of Ultron, but that's for movie effect. But think of it in more serious terms.
It's one of
Terminator.
those things where, and I agree with you. I think we should be focusing AI and robotics to serve other purposes, right? Whether that be exploration or
Or building.
cleaning our environment, building, whatever it may be. I think that's where it's like better off in. I don't think we should be really trying to mimic human behavior because like you said, once we do that, I've preached the good word of the Terminator for a very long time. I truly think that that's where we're going to end up. Like it makes so much sense. Like we're going to just continue to try and quote unquote play God and want to mimic human behavior to make our lives easier. But in turn, we're going to make ourselves at one point, and this is my belief, I think we're going to make ourselves obsolete and we're going to be our own downfall. Whether that comes in, 15 generations or one, it's going to be because of us and because of our
Hubris.
need to progress, right? And over the last 50 years, our technology and
Skyrocketed.
has exponentially increased, and it's at a speed that we cannot maintain. Bless you. It's
Yeah.
at a speed that we can't maintain. It's
Yeah.
not. We can't. We will hit a wall, and that wall will fall on us. Like
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah. That's 100% facts. Like I say facts, like it's not alternative. Like this, that there's a point, especially we could keep continuing this way, even when it comes to like protecting the environment and all that stuff, because we're basically still suffocating ourselves. Like the only, coronavirus was a bittersweet year, like the start of it from 2020. But the good thing I can see, like clean air, like stuff like that, we will be our downfall. But then there are still people that are very ignorant, or and I don't want to say it with malice, but people are ignorant. There are certain people that are ignorant, but then like, and you said it best, like we will be our downfall because of certain things like that. And it, like I said, hubris is also a part of it.
Yeah, of
um
course.
I was trying to get to what I was saying. I lost my train of thought, but I hope we kind of correct that, because that's not something I want to see, or I want my future offspring, my lineage, to see as well.
Yeah, like I want us to like yes, I understand that these are scientific pursuits and we want to try and optimize human experience as well as like help out in things that might be dangerous to humans. Like I know some of these robots have been made and produced with the mindset of like we can now interject these robots to do what humans would consider dangerous so that we
Yeah.
are no longer in harm's way, and that's fine. But when we're talking about mimicking emotion, that's where we kind of get into that gray area in my opinion, where it's just like we don't need to do that. Why would we
Yeah.
do that? We already have that. And
Yeah.
that's in the grand design, right? That's what makes us different. So
Hmm.
why would we try and create something that's too similar to us?
Yeah.
It's the end of the day, it's always going to come down to like the Darwinism of it all, right?
Oh, yeah.
Survival of the fittest. Whoever's can survive will survive.
Yeah.
So go back to making the flying car, dude. Please.
That's basically,
Where is
yeah.
that?
Yeah, we that and our hoverboards. That's all we wanted.
Yes. I actually saw they actually I forgot which company, but a company I think in the UK just
I think I saw
unveiled
that.
the world's first like aero car.
Yeah.
They didn't show it flying, so I was a little upset about that, but they literally unveiled it
It's
to
like, why
show
are you
what it
gonna
looked
do
like.
that and not show the thing that it's
That's
supposed
what
to
I'm
do?
saying.
It's like,
But
hey,
yeah, go
I have chocolate. But you see what I mean? Like, what does that
yeah.
do?
It's like go back to the 80s version of the future, please. Give me food in dehydrated forms. Give me flying cars. Give me robot helpers more than Alexa. Like give me something that'll go get me a
I
drink.
was gonna say the Jetsons. I forget her name. The Jetsons.
Rosie?
Thank you. Yes, that's what you
Yes,
meant
give
by
me that.
with the wheels and everything. No, yeah,
Yes,
like
give me
dude,
that.
that's all I want. Like, so it makes like there's so many things I think of. Like, humanity is always trying to play God, like they with the cloning, like they successfully cloned an animal, but like then it gets into ethics and philosophy. Like, damn, should we be cloning humans and stuff like that? That gets into many. There's like a movie called The Island with ScarJo and Ewan McGregor. They were cloning bodies, so the rich, whenever they have a failed, let's say a
Mm,
pancreas or a failed whatever, they get their like. Obviously,
yeah, I
that's
remember that.
there's a commentary on the rich there. You got Blade Runner, where you just started making synthetic humans to do work off world, but obviously the point of the premise of the story, they
And I
come back
mean,
to Earth so they can live a life.
and
Like,
we've gotten to the point where we can clone and grow synthetic human parts
yeah,
that will help with illness or prosthetics or like
which is great.
surgeries, and that's totally fine. Yeah,
Yes,
like when we talk about science for the sake of helping, like truly helping the health and well-being of humans, go for it. Now when we're talking about escapism, like this whole metaverse thing that's
yeah,
happening, like everyone's been talking about it for years. It's been the subject of sci-fi and books, TV shows, movies for decades at this point. Like we are on the cusp, and I feel like people forget about that. Like we are on the cusp of it. Like this metaverse thing is actually happening. It's
yes,
in motion. It's no longer a fever dream of a director somewhere. Like, no, this is happening. This is real. We are going to have the ability, and yes, it'll be buggy at first, but everything is until we perfect it. We will have the ability to live in a virtual existence, and way more so than we ever have. I mean, if you want to get down to the nitty gritty, reading a
yeah,
book, you're living in a virtual existence, right? Because you have a
that's
virtual
true.
movie playing in your head while you're reading, right? So
Yeah,
that's the earliest form of that. But now you will be able to transmit your thoughts and feelings into a synthetic plane of existence. That is wild. We should, as fun as it's probably going to be and as cool as it's going
it
to
has
be,
its benefits though. Like
that's going to be real bad, I feel.
Like I can imagine us at an old age because obviously our old people now wouldn't be able to get through it. But let's say
Yeah.
we're at an old age and we can't get out of bed because we got to go to our doctor, but we can virtually meet them online. Obviously, because we'd be privy to that knowledge of logging
But
in our
like
memory.
this is the same thing.
Exactly. But I'm
Like
just saying,
telecommuting is a thing. Like I can communicate with you. You're freaking 5,000 miles away from me,
yeah.
and we're able to see each other, speak to each other in real
Yeah, and you
time.
can do that with multiple. Yeah, we can have multiple chat rooms. Like I
Yeah,
think
we
you
could do
we're
it with this small thing.
yeah, you're not wrong. It's I think that's also part of there's the hubris part. They're like, oh, we're just gonna flex. I'm just gonna make a world and
Yeah.
like Minecraft, and you can do whatever you want. It kind of reminds me of the episode of The Office when Jim is flying around with his guitar, and Dwight has his
Oh
own
yeah. Second Life. That's
Second
a real
Life. Yeah,
game. That
no,
exists.
no,
That's a
yeah,
real
yeah.
game. Yeah.
But it's like that's where we're going.
Yeah. We're gonna be able to like actually control those things, not just with mouse and keyboard.
Yeah. Which kind of like just to kind of put an add on to this segment, part of the segment. I saw a thing, didn't read it. I just saw it last minute. They built a glove so you can feel the virtual
Oh, the
reality.
haptics. Yeah.
So the haptics would
I
give you
saw
that
that.
feedback. And I was like,
Yeah,
that's cool.
it gives
That's
you haptic
very,
feedback, so you can grab something in virtual reality, and you would literally feel it on your hand as if like I
yeah,
was grabbing this mic. Like you
yeah.
could feel.
I'm sure it's not as accurate, but that's really dope. It reminds me of Ready
Well,
Player One, but it's pretty
yeah,
dope.
it's Ready Player One, and I mean we have like I'm pointing back there, like you can see it. I have my
Yeah.
Switch there, right? The Switch is capable of giving haptic feedback.
Yeah.
The Joy Cons, right?
Yes.
We've all seen the weird like Joy-Con robot thing with the cardboard and all that. Like you can get haptic feedback on that. It has the patented what is it like I forgot what it's called, but it's like the high def rumble that's in there, and you can feel the difference. Like when I first felt that rumble and in different games and different programs and stuff like that, it was mind blowing because I remember playing Mario Odyssey, and there's
Mhm.
points where you become a zipper and you unzip like a wall. And it felt like I was moving a zipper, and then when
Oh
you hit
wow.
the ground, it's a different type of vibration. Like there's haptic feedback in that vibration that is making you feel different things. I mean, in Mario Party, all the mini games have different vibrations and different
Yes.
sensations,
Which
so
is
to help
annoying
you be a
sometimes.
little more immersive.
Yeah.
So haptic feedback, I mean, it's in our home already. And now, like, you're gonna wear a freaking Nintendo Power Glove like back in the '80s and
Yep.
be able to feel
That's literally what
someone
I thought of.
give you a fist bump. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, man. Like, and if we can culminate, put this in summation, like, as long as it can help people, that it for good, I'm down for that. But then when it comes to like you're just trying to stunt and be like, hey, I can do this because I can. That sounds like the origin story of something bad.
So
That's all I know.
yeah. So, and I agree with that. And just because you said something, I
Yes.
have just one last thought here.
Go ahead.
I watched all 8 Harry Potter movies last couple days. So listen to this. So I watched all 8 Harry Potters and then all 3 Lord of the Rings extended versions in the
Oh,
past like 3 days, four
I was
days,
just gonna
something
tell
like
you
that.
about that later, but yes.
So anyway, um, one of the best characters to hate is Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter, and she said she has a quote in I think the 6th movie
Yeah,
or the 5th movie.
it's
I think it
it's
was It might have been Order of Phoenix. So number 5. So I
yes,
think it
you are.
was. She says progress for the sake of progress shouldn't happen. And
Mhm.
I think I'm paraphrasing that a little bit. But
Yeah,
I kind of agree with that because progress for the sake of progress, just to say, hey, I'm able to do this now, is gonna get you in a sticky situation. Like progress
I'm
for the
nodding
sake
my
of
head.
progress is
But
weird.
yes, yeah.
Like, but moving on from that, another topic here, sticking with progress and future and robots and all this.
But this
Living
this
in
this is cool. This,
like
the nerd in me is hyped about this because like
it's cool
one of
in
my
like a weird
favorite
way.
one of my favorite Halo games, Halo Reach, right? I
Yeah.
always like the idea of finding another Earth.
Mhm.
And so
So the
basically my
topic
thing,
really quickly before we
yeah,
keep going, the topic is living in space in Earth's orbit is gonna be a thing soon.
yeah.
Like you're gonna be able to live in a space station that's in
Like
orbit around the
that's
Earth.
cool. Like that's cool to me. But like my thing about I love space stories, like sci-fi stuff and space or like Interstellar. I always felt like, and I'm not a rocket scientist, but I felt like we stopped caring about space because America won the space race. Honestly, no one won the space race because okay, we made it to the moon. Like, I honestly feel like we should have been progressing more, and we still. And I don't want to get super, hipster about like wars and stuff like that, but through the four horsemen of the apocalypse type thing. But I think we definitely need to stop that stuff here and then focus on progressing. But as a species, I always thought like, yeah, it would be dope to go visit another planet. Obviously, we don't have the speed or the technology to fly over there and still be the same age because from what we learned, time is relative. So, like, if you've seen Interstellar or what's that movie with Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence? They
Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, but they basically the premise was that they left. They were just leaving Earth to another place, but they were not going to return because basically by the time they get there, like years have gone by. So like if you were like living in, you would be as old as your mom by the time you get there, or all your friends would have died. I always think that'd be dope to do like little content, not content, like orbits or colonies in space, kind of like Gundam. I always liked that idea, and it was really cool because that means humanity's progressing. But when you look at Halo, Earth is still something that needs to be protected because Earth
Yeah.
was like the hub, the birthplace of humanity. But we're just looking out. Obviously, I not obviously, I would hope we will not try to conquer things, but knowing our human history, we're going to probably want to colonize things if we were to find life. But unless we get some sort of alien thing, then there's going to be some crazy war, and I don't want to get into all that. That's just me wearing a cone hat. Uh, but it seemed like, look, the two richest people are going to space and doing it like it's willy nilly, like this is just chump change, and then it's going to be tourism. It's not far behind that we're just going to a hotel in space. Like, hey, let's meet up at the 4, 5, 6 seasons in space. No regular person is going to be able to afford that ever. I'll say that ever.
You think ever? Like it won't be a thing where like you could just go do it?
Oh, you probably work there as a janitor, sure. That's probably the high. Like, if
I think
if I was able to
I think
do, go ahead.
no, good, good,
No,
go.
I was gonna say if this was a real thing and I applied for a
Mhm,
job, I'd probably be like I'd be a server. If this was today's time,
mhm. Yeah.
I'd be a server. I'd be a low level person.
So I think if we are able to solve alternative fuel, we can do
Okay.
it. I think it'll open up to the normies. But until we are able to solve alternative fuel, while we still rely on fossil fuel, we won't. We won't be
But
able
it's
to do
so
it.
easy. The sun is right there. I say it all the time. Like even in one of my stories, I highly stress like I write it, but like when the art gets drawn, I highly stress solar panels. Like there's this show I used to love. I'm sure it's still going or got canceled or finished. The 100. There was a orb. It was in those the that machine or that spaceship was in orbit on Earth. The reason they left Earth was because Earth was irradiated with radiation and they couldn't live on Earth anymore. So they lived on this spaceship. But where did they get all their energy? From the sun, which is like obviously the
But
technology needs
can
to
we
be able.
harness that much energy yet? Like with our solar panels? Like I know we can get energy, but like
No, but
is
that's
it
what I'm saying.
like
That
can
would
we get
require
enough?
some sort of science. Like at that point, I'm not a rocket science. I'm sure there's some sort of
Okay,
levels on how we
true.
can intake that. But then there's also like I don't know. There's if I'm looking at Earth, we have so many ways to get energy. We don't need fossil fuels. I'm sure a lot of people like to disagree with that. But when it comes to space, we
All we
have
need to do is get like a couple of hamsters on a wheel and just perpetual energy
that
until
and
they
plant
live their life
potatoes.
on a
Plant
wheel,
potatoes.
they give birth, and then the new hamsters keep going.
Yeah. But like we just need the sun. And we're closer to the sun if you're in orbit.
Yeah.
So it's like, why not? But I don't know. I think
Jay,
it'll be
you're gonna
cool.
get kidnapped by the CIA tonight. You know that, right?
I'm gonna wake up and they're gonna put fake memories in there just to like screw with it. They're like, didn't you dream that? No, no, it was real.
You're gonna
But
literally be in Area 51, like chained up.
they're like, you're not human. You're actually giving us. You gave us all this technology. Like you're hiding amongst the humans. I'm just actually an alien right now. That's me giving myself away, people. Um, I don't know. There's so many, but like you know what it is. I don't want to just say like we have the sun, but like we have the technology to like at least start this process. But we're so focused on and like I said, in the grand scheme of things in the universe, it's so trivial. Like fighting for land and not trying to like it's just to me this just hits home. Not hits home, but it hits to like what I think about sometimes where it's just like if people were like more like Betty White, like I feel like we would have at least been on we would have had something building on top of Earth right now.
So yeah, if we stopped caring about the things that made us different and focused on how we are the same, yeah, of course. I mean, think about it. What was it? If we didn't have the fall of Rome, we
Yeah.
would be like 200 years further along with technology if we didn't have, and I just found out about this the other day.
Oh wow.
So one of the biggest historical mysteries is the fall of the Bronze Age.
Okay.
So apparently, it was like a countries or cities around the Mediterranean Sea
Yeah.
had flushing toilets and running water thousands of years before the developed world. And within the span of a generation, I think it was like within a span of like 60 or 70 years, all knowledge of those civilizations were just like blipped out of existence. And nobody knows why. Nobody knows if it was like conquerors or some sort of like natural disaster. Nobody has any clue.
Oh wow.
And it's specifically that area around the Mediterranean were so advanced that we just couldn't even comprehend. So if we didn't have the fall of certain civilizations throughout the world, like, mostly due to conquering, to be honest. I mean, I'm sure some natural forces were in play there, but you know, if we didn't spend time conquering each other and destroying each other's stuff, like, imagine how much further along we would be.
And then yeah, and I understand, and I don't want to like, and the way you describe it doesn't sound like blame because obviously they didn't have knowledge. It's also ignorance because our collective knowledge is basically unifying, but there's still people out there that are very ignorant and just don't want to do like the right thing. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, like as you said, there are civilizations out there that's done that. Like I found out recently, there's certain indigenous tribes out there that want isolation, and I just found out they're like
Yeah.
based off there's an island off India where it's protected by India, and to me, these people have been there for 5,000 years, so they don't have any connection with the outside world. It would be great to help them out, but to me, I don't even see them as people that we need to help. To me, they're fossils. You need to leave them and let them do their thing. It kind of reminds me of like One Piece. Like there's that void century. That's what that kind of sounds like when you say the
Yeah.
Mediterranean so it just disappeared and we don't know. And that sucks because of conquering and diseases and all that. They just get wiped out. We're not in that place today, and I feel like we could be better about all that. Yes, it's happening, but like it could be a lot faster if we weren't.
It's like if everyone wasn't so concerned with crossing the finish line first,
Yeah,
like, and that's what it comes down to, right?
and that's why I meant
Everyone
make a
wants to
race. It's like
everyone wants to cross the finish line first. And some competition is healthy. Competition amongst friends and colleagues is healthy because it drives progress.
yeah,
Competition among nations is ridiculous, right? Because at what point do you put a stop to the competition in order to help your fellow man? Like,
yeah,
what is the sense in trying to be the best or the first or the only when if we were working together, how much further along we would all be
yeah.
simultaneously?
It's so annoying to me when I hear stuff about Mars because it's like I sit there and I don't want to sound like, again, I don't want to sound like a hipster. They're like, oh, we're finding pebbles that are like showing us there's proof of water. I'm like, bro, I knew about this like 13 years ago. I watched PBS. They talked about that back then. Why is this news in 2021? Like they talked about this when it was like 2005, 2007. Why are we still talking about water on Mars? It exists. We know this. They keep talking about it. Like, why are we there? Basically terraforming. We haven't found like life yet. We can move there to a certain degree, but like I
They
find
didn't
it
watch
very
PBS,
annoying.
Jay.
What happened?
I said they didn't watch PBS. They're
They didn't.
behind.
They didn't watch PBR. But like, I don't want to. Yeah, but like, it sucks because. But what I'm getting at is that we keep talking about the same thing,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like every couple years. Like, I get really hyped when they mention another planet that's like Earth. But what's unfortunate is that it's so far we will never
yeah. We
get
can't
there.
get there.
Not even none of our 15 generations from. We're probably never going to
Yeah,
get there unless
but
we work.
yet the conversation of Pluto becoming a planet again is coming
Dude,
back around.
so Yeah, like that is so annoying because, like, to me, growing up as a 90s kid, Pluto is a planet. I don't care what anyone says because it's still there. I don't care. It's still there. I remember they were saying, "Oh, because it's like orbiting
It's the
differently." Maybe
size. It's the size, right?
it's the
Isn't it?
size,
It's like
but
too
then it's like
small.
it was like because it's too small and it's orbiting at a different axis than all the planets. But I'm like, what if something bigger hit it off of the
Mm.
axis? That was my thought process as a kid. That was my own deduction.
Also, the other thing is like, who cares?
Who
like,
exactly?
who actually gives a crap whether or not this is a planet? Like, I understand for science and for I guess science sake,
Yeah,
like
no,
you wanna classify things, and that's totally fine. Like that goes along with exploration and learning. Totes, totes my goats, man.
but have we
Call it
been
whatever you
to
wanna call
Pluto?
it. But like that's the like, can we get there? Like, sure. Like let's talk it into the ground whether or not it's big enough to be called a planet. But uh, what does that do for us? Does that get us closer to exploring? No.
It doesn't. Like, I love science stuff, especially NASA. All our money should go into education and NASA, and we'd be good. And
We'd be a
infrastructure,
bunch of super smart spacewalkers. Come on.
basically. I want to be 150 on Mars and be like,
With a lightsaber.
oh, yeah. And having written Mace Windu. That's what I'm famous for. But yeah, like going back to the article, I think it's cool that that is a thought process. I would love to go up there. My body would feel different. I would love to look at Earth at a, actually for the first time because we're one of the few people, the only people that get to see is astronauts and rich people. That'd be
Could
great.
you imagine seeing that? Like, that must be such a crazy sight.
Sometimes I have nightmares when I'm in space and like floating in space but floating
Or
away from.
like Gravity, Sandra
Yeah,
Bullock
like
type
moving
thing.
like gravity. That was scary for me watching it because like she's trying to grab onto things and it's like, oh
Yeah,
my
and she
god, she's
can't.
floating away. Even if she went to Earth, she's still gonna die because she's gravity is not on her
Oh
side.
yeah.
So like no matter which direction she went to, it's like but yeah, I've had nightmares of being like I've had weird but I had cool ones where I read the Halo Fall of Reach and I was a Spartan and I landed on Earth, but that's neither here nor there. That's how you know I love a lot of sci-fi stuff. Sci-fi space stuff.
I mean, space is the final frontier, right? And it's just,
But we're
I
never
feel
gonna
like we
get there.
haven't, yeah, we just haven't done enough. Like now we're doing things because, and it just feels like that's what we always do as humans, right? We're doing things that align with the buzzwords, right? That's just what it is. Like, you know, Virgin Galactic has been a thing for like a decade now, and they've been promising commercial flights, um, for tourism through space. Okay, cool. And it's just like what are we doing to actually further exploration? Like we've done as much as we can here. I mean, outside of the ocean, like we just physically can't get down there yet. Like what can we do to get out there and find things and explore more and open our minds to things that we might not know?
And you know what it is?
How
And
do we
as you
do
say
that?
that, I think it does start with us too, like just to bring it down, like just scale it back down. It does start with conversation, like us doing right now, or people that you talk to, like just see, and then hopefully it doesn't get into politics because some people it could be like a trigger or not, but like it's still a conversation where it's like, yeah, but I would like to know what some people's thought process is. Like, do you believe in
True.
aliens? I believe in aliens because I don't want to sound conceited and think we're the only thing in this universe. So wouldn't that be dope? Yeah, it sounds scary, but everything we do here is scary. And then see if that catches on where people are talking about this instead of talking about American Idol or something like The Bachelor, which I saw a commercial for the other day. It was horrendous. Dude was crying because he was in love with three girls. I hate that. But I hate reality
Dude,
TV, so that's just me.
I hate seeing so so Erica watches reality TV and we watch some things on Hulu and stuff like that, and we watch Married at First Sight. Like that's one of her shows that she likes, so we'll watch them once in a while. But every so often we get these commercials for The Bachelor, and every time they come up, it's either The Bachelor or Bachelorette, depending
Yeah.
on the season. And every time they come up, I'm like, oh my god, like why is this a thing? It's been
Like,
going on forever.
yeah, when I was
Like
younger, I was like, "Alright,
forever.
cool," but then I was like, "Why is this the thing now?" I remember the controversy about the first black. I was like, "Okay, now we first of all, we
Oh, the
shouldn't have
first
people."
Black Bachelor, yeah.
And then it was like it kinda got canned because of, like, some racial thing with this. I was like, "No one saw that coming." Like, there should have been a black bachelor, bachelorette. But it's like, I don't wanna get into that. It's just we shouldn't be talking about stuff that doesn't affect. I think we should be talking about stuff that affects us. Like, even like this orbit thing, that was a good article because it was like, okay, cool. It made me think of a possibility of humanity reaching that height, and that
Yeah.
what it needs to take steps there, like when it comes to racial injustice and all that stuff. Because once we can fix certain things in our life, that's just amongst other things. That's just one topic. But
Yeah.
if we can fix that, that's a stepping stone to us building towards getting to orbit
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because
before
if
we
we
get
fix that
out.
stuff, then we have a nice foundation so that
Yep,
we can continue to build. Because we can't build, we can't go anywhere, we can't do these grandiose things if we still have these little problems that we bicker over. It's impossible. We're never gonna get there if we're just gonna continuously tear each other down in these ways. You know? And like
exactly,
you said, it's when people talk about reality TV and every freaking game show that comes out. And it's like we're focused too much on escapism
exactly.
instead of like innovation. And escapism has always, especially in the US, because of capitalism, everyone's working constantly. So we need an escape to kind of, chill our brains out. But, we've always just been so, and listen, I love my escapes. I love my hobbies. I love
Oh yeah,
media.
100%.
But it's just something where in the grand scheme of things, why is there so much money being thrown around for these contests and
Yep,
things, but yet we have starving people?
yep. I made that realization as in the last 5 years. Like, you got just game shows. There's just a lot. Like when I would see Steve
Yeah,
Harvey, what's his show? Steve Harvey show, Family Feud.
Family
Like,
Feud.
I see that it's like these people already have money. The people that are playing, it's like, and then it's why are they there? Why do they need more money? Like it's very unfortunate.
It's
And like,
capitalism. We're all trying to cross the finish line first. We want more, 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 and we want to be the only ones that get it.
yeah, and you're not wrong. And I know the answer to it. It's just the answer is still going to be asked why. Because I can sit down next to a person, if they can't answer that question, there's just no conversation. It's just that's it. And I just want to plug in one last thing.
Go
Bezos
for it.
is definitely Lex Luthor. Like, just seeing these pictures as of the last couple weeks, he's Lex Luthor. I'm
Bro, I've been seeing everything from Lex Luthor to Pitbull to Doctor Evil. It's so funny.
Nah, I most definitely Lex. I'm yo. If Superman is out there right now, don't come out because he looks worse than Lex Luthor. Like, I trust Lex Luthor more than Jeff Bezos. That's how I feel right now.
Jeez.
And
But
Lex
I
Luthor
kind
is
of
a
feel
villain
that.
because
I kind of feel that.
most of his problems is he doesn't like Superman and he would do whatever he wants to kill Superman. But Jeff Bezos, he's just out for himself and he's just messing with Amazon employees. I just
Bro.
need a break. Nope. That's time and money. That's just his mentality.
Well, this was a good one. I think we can pack it up with that last thought of Jeff Bezos being Lex Luthor. I think we can go ahead and pack this up. So this was a good one, and as always, be good to yourself, be good to others. Be safe, wear masks, be clean, all that
Yeah.
jazz.
Basically, what would Betty White do?
Exactly, exactly. What would Betty White do? So signing off. This is Jay Justin Ruiz.
And this is Jay, Jeremy Francois.
and we hope you have a good one.
Good night, guys, or good morning.